Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
You and I haven't done a show together in about a month, it feels like. I don't know when the last time was we were together.
It's correct. I think it might have been Jim Brown died that day, right?
And that seems like it's been a month.
It's been a long time.
And I wouldn't.
Wow. And you were out that day.
I don't think I was there.
You
that
were
day.
out that day. So the last time the three of us did a show together, I don't know.
I know, because I was saying, like, I'm not used to being in this chair anymore, because when I'm not here, when you're not here, I'm in there. But it's good to see you, and congratulations, Jay's a grandpa again.
Grandfather, my daughter had a baby boy. He already has his first ball glove.
Love it.
He starts pitching lessons in August.
Did you get a lefty glove to try to train him that way?
A friend of mine asked me, "You're not buying a righty glove, are you?" I said, "You know what? I've done the research. Everybody
probably
in the
gonna be a
family
righty.
is a righty. In all likelihood, he'll be a righty. But if by chance we've got a lefty,
Get that pitching going right away.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness, it's so much easier for the lefties.
And what's his name?
His name, and I love this because it went back and forth. It was originally going to be Emerson. That was my paternal grandfather's name and my dad's middle name.
Right.
Instead, they decided to go with Van Emerson Toohey. So Van Toohey sounds like he's going to grow up and do something important, whether it's academia, athletics.
That does sound very fancy.
Van Toohey. I like it.
Or a bass drummer. Or
could be a musician.
Guitar.
Got Van Morrison. Obviously, Van Halen is part of the last name. Go ahead.
When you sent the pictures of your new grandson, the only thing I thought was he's got a better head of hair than Tyvis already.
His hair's unreal. He does have a better head of hair than Tyvis. It's full lettuce. Full. Now, Joe, the father, my daughter's husband, who's a news anchor on a local affiliate here in Cleveland, not named Channel 3. He does the 7 o'clock for another station in town. He's got like the thickest head of hair I've ever seen, ever, period. Hayes was born with so much hair. This is a true story. My granddaughter. She was born with so much hair that Apple racially profiled Joe as an Indian. You know how they take your photos and they'll put them to music? When she was born, Apple and the Google Photos app saw that there was all these pictures of this baby with like Marv Albert hair. You know, Marv Albert hair.
Yeah, sure.
And so when it produced a video of recent memories, it put Indian music to it, thinking it had to be an Indian baby.
Like India or American India?
India.
Oh, India. Okay.
Yes. Whole Southeast Asia.
I laughed. I was crying so hard. I was laughing when I saw that the first time.
Funny.
You got a daughter.
But it's
Hey,
great.
real quick, Jay,
It's
we
great.
got a little breaking news real quick.
Sure.
It's for one of our guys, Boogie.
Oh.
Boogie has officially been named a USFL nominee for Sportsman of the Year.
No kidding.
And I cannot
For
think
him.
of anybody. Well, I can't think of
Wow.
anyone else who plays in the USFL, but I can't think of anyone rather than Boogie who I would think would represent Sportsman of the Year in that league better than our guy.
That's
Boogie Roberts.
fantastic.
That's kind of like the Walter Payton Award of the USFL.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the most prestigious. Now, I wonder if the voters or if the league, when they nominated him, was aware of his comments on our program about Ja Morant. I thought that Boogie was phenomenal that day. He spoke about gun violence in inner cities. He spoke eloquently. He's educated on the matter. Obviously, he grew up in a very tough area of Los Angeles. I thought he was tremendous that day. I don't know if they were even aware that he's a member of a regular sports show or not.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Boogie. Is there a website that people can vote?
I don't know. I just saw the tweet pop up on our Twitter timeline.
That's awesome.
Well, that's good.
I'm gonna look into that. I'll see if if we can, and if there is a fan vote and Boogie doesn't win, I'm putting it all on the UCSS
Yes,
fans.
that's right.
We'll
not
implore
participating.
them to vote for Boogie, and I can't imagine anybody else going to have a bigger campaign.
Yeah, listen.
Certainly not.
Vote for Boogie. Something I never thought I'd say in my life.
Yeah, right.
Vote for Boogie. Go ahead, McNuggets.
And also, while we're mentioning the USFL and Boogie, the Maulers are playing the Panthers in the playoffs this weekend. Tickets are still available. You can find all your ticket, game, scheduling information at USFL.com. Boogie coming off a knee injury, says he's 50-50 on playing. We hope he's going to play. But either way, make sure you get down to Canton to support Boogie and the Maulers this weekend as they take on the the Michigan Panthers.
Is this the semifinals?
Semifinals,
So
correct.
4 teams make the playoffs.
Correct.
They're in. They lost to the Maulers or the Panthers.
They beat the Panthers in the last week to get into the playoffs.
Oh, they did?
So, yes.
Well, they could be playing for a championship for crying
They
out
could
loud.
be. And we're going to be giving out a bunch of tickets next week for the championship for free. So make
Good.
sure you guys are tuned into UCSS throughout the week
Nice.
to find out how you can win those tickets. We're giving out a bunch.
Yeah.
You have a lot of opportunities to win tickets.
Here's a reason to
the
try to
game.
get those tickets alone. Forget about the football you're going to see. But if by chance the USFL ever blossoms and becomes this huge secondary league, there are tickets from Super Bowl I that you can find on sale on Amazon that go for tens of thousands of dollars. The actual ticket stub from Super Bowl I.
Wow.
Because it wasn't that big a deal.
By the way, I've got a good story for you in that vein. I feel like I got to sneeze.
I know you look like you have to sneeze. God bless you.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Disgusting.
So this is a funny story, and you made me think.
It's natural.
I don't think I told this story on the air when I found out about this. I think I might have told a couple of you guys this off the air, but this is an amazing story. So a good friend of mine calls me the other day, was telling me that his uncle was the beneficiary of the uncle's sister-in-law. Something died. There was nobody left in the family, so the uncle was going through her stuff and was able to keep whatever he wanted because he was her only heir. She had no kids. So he goes through this closet that had crazy sports memorabilia.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, she was friends with some of the Brooklyn Dodgers back in the day.
Oh, no.
So all this stuff is found. He finds a shoebox full of ticket stubs. So
Shot heard round the world ticket.
even better than that.
Not the baseball.
He had 2 ticket stubs from Jackie Robinson's first game in the majors. They're going on auction. Apparently, they're going to sell for at least $500,000, if not more. And he's got 2 of them.
That's incredible.
And they're in perfect, as much as a ticket can be in good shape.
You know, the baseball from the Shot Heard Round the World game is like the holy grail of sports memorabilia. No one knows where it is.
It's amazing.
No one has ever come forward and said, I caught it. There's, they tried to do Zapruder film type stuff
to find out.
See who the ball's hand landed in. I read a book about it. The closest they came to it, I believe, was a nun, a Brooklyn area nun who went to the game, and there's some thinking that she may have donated it to the religious charity to be sold later when the price gets so high that
and that people forgot about it or something.
Unless I've missed the actual resurfacing of the baseball, it's
I
never
doubt you
actually,
missed it because it probably would have been a big
major
story.
news.
Yeah.
Wow, those tickets to the Jackie Robinson debut game.
And that's just for that. Supposedly the box is filled with all kinds of tickets that might be worth, less money. But
can you imagine that?
Oh, my God.
And she didn't tell anybody that this existed?
Never. I don't even know, I don't know the woman at all, so who knows if she even knew they had value.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, that is the game. That is the game that changed the sport forever.
Yes.
Forever. Yeah, I hope they
Amazing.
get a big price. I know there's a series, I think it was on Amazon or Netflix, about the sports card industry.
Right.
And the whole thing centered on
The
Jackie
auction
Robinson
house.
jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The guy, I can't think of the guy's name.
I didn't
he's
see
got a
it,
funny
but
name.
somebody
Is it
was telling me
Star?
about
I think
it.
his last name might be Star.
Yeah.
But that was a fascinating documentary. In the end, Jackie Robinson's jersey didn't get the price they thought it would, but Babe Ruth's jersey is the highest sold jersey of all time.
How much you get? How much is
I
that?
think it was $10 million. And they wanted $12 million for the Jackie Robinson jersey or something along those lines. Mike.
We're going to get into the Emoni Bates pick in a sec, but I just got one more tidbit I have to add in here. I just got word that Indians legend Carlos Baerga is going to join us today at 12:15.
Wonderful.
So
great. We love
the legend.
Carlos
He's been
has
on the show before.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's coming back at 12:15.
I wasn't on
Great.
when he was on with us last time, but
I wasn't either.
I played with Carlos in a charity softball game, and he was so nice.
I wonder if he'll remember your swing. He might.
I was like, I thought Bull was gonna say.
We'll ask him to grade Bull's
Remember me
swing.
running slow to first base.
Bulls.
He is a nice guy, you're right.
Oh, so
He's a tremendous human being.
His son played
That's
in the game, too.
hilarious.
His son was like a good – I don't think he didn't play – I don't know if he played professionally, didn't make the majors,
Yeah.
but he was a good college player, I believe. Yeah.
And
Very
you didn't
good.
tell us about this goal. Well, his son gave spilled the beans.
Well, I got a long way to go.
But I'm
My
just
goal
saying.
is to play adult league softball next summer.
It's not a long way. I think it's very attainable.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 9 months to get there.
Yeah.
8 months to
That's
get there.
my
I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like, man, like that's like me being like, yeah, I'm gonna go and get some pass rush in, with offensive
Playing
linemen.
adult league softball
Yeah.
is a little easier than pass rushing.
No, listen, we're not training for that.
You know what? Yeah, I think your goal should be semi-pro football. They have some semi-pro teams. There's a semi-pro team in Cleveland.
That's true.
I believe that you could go out there and help a semi-pro team
You
right
should
now.
play on the defensive line with Boogie in the USFL.
Now that's a goal. That's a goal.
I watched. Me and Earl was in McKinley High School. We went to do the Hall of Fame high school thing. And we walked through, and the USFL guys were in my high school's weight room. Now, it's not a regular weight room. They put a lot of money into that thing. But I'm looking around, and I just was like, man, I got sick to my stomach. I said, can you imagine if I had to do that today? I want no parts of this.
One more hit, and you're not walking ever again.
No, one more. Listen, I can't even get on roller coasters, let alone. What are you talking about?
Let's keep it to like maybe flag football.
Yeah, right. Listen,
that should be a good goal for you.
And then, that's a lot of cutting too, Jay. You don't get sympathy when you're 50. You tear ACL.
Trust me,
nobody
I know.
don't show up to that hospital. Your wife done dealt with it 6 times. She like, listen, that was your fault.
Yeah, I know. First 2 times I got babied like a child.
Well,
Third time I got looked at like, this is your fault.
You did
this to yourself.
That's on your mix.
All right, you mentioned the Emoni Bates pick, and that's where we're going to start today because obviously the Cavs had just the one pick. It was the 49th in the draft. There wasn't a lot of anticipation around it because you usually don't find life changers at 49, but this might be an exception. This young man's history is a bit up and down. He was the Max Prep Freshman National Player of the Year.
And the Gatorade National Sophomore Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, this kid, once upon a time, was in the stratosphere. I don't want to say LeBron James because LeBron wasn't just the next superstar. LeBron was tabbed as the chosen one in a lifetime.
Right.
But Emoni Bates, once upon a time, not that long ago, 4 years ago, this guy's national stock was unbelievable. Then he hit some roadblocks. He went to Memphis, didn't have a great freshman year, sort of underperformed. Penny Hardaway was his coach there. Averaged fewer than 10 points a game. Transferred to Eastern Michigan, but the big thing here, guys, was the gun charge that happened in December of last year. He's on probation for 18 months. Not a good look. It's a high-risk pick for the Cavaliers. And quite frankly, I was interested to see not if the Cavs would take him, because I know the Cavs they were very public about their interest in this young man. What stunned me was, would he make it to 49? I thought someone else might take a flyer, and no one did.
And that's what makes you think that, that's all the stuff we know. You just went over all the public information.
Right. What
else don't we know?
Good
point.
point.
How much of a pain in the ass is this kid?
You're right.
Because to be that talented, that just 4 years ago, he was the number one not the number one prospect in the state, the number one prospect in the country, and 4 years later, teams at the end of the first round, they're not even interested. It makes me think that this kid's got a long way to go. I'm also, frankly, till proven otherwise, I don't trust the Cavs as an organization, and I don't trust Bickerstaff as a coach to be able to get the best out of this kid. If he were going to Miami, if he were going to San Antonio, I'd say, probably it's going to work. Second-round picks is such a long shot to begin with. Obviously, this kid is talented enough to be a first-round pick, and I don't know enough about him, so we'll hope for the best. And it was worth it to do it because what's the downside? It's a second-round pick.
I agree with that.
But,
G. Bush, when you take a guy at 49, oftentimes he's not on a roster 2 years later.
No.
You don't expect a guy like that to make a difference. But I know you were advocating yesterday for the Cavs to take him, and the Cavs had been interested in him publicly for a while.
Yep.
I just look at it as it's a lottery ticket. You get to scratch it, and you get to see what's on it.
That's right.
It's better than not having a ticket.
Yeah, I think this is the best case scenario. Well, actually, we go back to that. I watched them. Actually, I think I text McNuggets. I text McNuggets. I was in the lab, just down to YouTube.
Watching his highlight reels.
I was watching highlight reels. Well, I had watched him in Memphis. I had a chance to see him a couple of years ago play in these AAU tournaments. And he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He won the National Player of the Year 2 times in a row. So the stock that Wemby has now, you didn't hear about Wemby when you was hearing about this guy. It was just crazy. You see how people develop. But when you watch this game, he jumps out at you because he takes these tough shots. But if you watch the NBA and you watch it in the playoffs, all those contested shots Tatum hits, all them contested jumpers, and Like the stuff that NBA dudes do, he does that on a regular basis.
Well, he shoots 40% though. That's what scares me.
And by the way, he takes a lot of bad shots.
He does.
He takes a lot of
Can
bad
that be
shots.
coached out of a guy, McNuggets? What are your thoughts on that? The fact that he just takes a lot of bad shots, can that be coached out of the young man?
It can. Here's my 2 cents on Bates. And we talked about this yesterday, whether you take a swing in the second round, take a guy you think could be just a guy.
Right.
If Bates is okay and willing to rechange the way he's played basketball for 19 years, he has the talent to be a long-term NBA player and an impact NBA player.
Wow.
He has not shown anything throughout his 2 years of college and his last year of high school that gives me any indication he's willing to change.
You mean coachability?
Here, this is what Jonathan Givony, who's ESPN's NBA
Right.
draft expert,
Yeah.
wrote as his
I
final
read
write-up.
this.
Steve,
Yeah.
you can take this. I'll read this word for word. Standing 6'9" and having just turned 19 years old in late January, Bates' tough shot-making prowess and overall scoring instincts hold some appeal, but he plays such a losing brand of basketball on both ends of the floor, making him a relatively tough sell.
Yeah, that's what jumped out at me too. I saw that losing sell, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a red flag.
And there's a reason he lasted this long. Again, with the skills he has to last to 49, there's a reason. A lot of the teams said, this guy's he's a loser, or
Yeah.
he can't be made. Now, hopefully the Cavs can. But again, there's no. We've said high risk because he's a knucklehead. It appears, but it isn't because
No risk.
Well,
you expect to get nothing out of your second round
I
pick.
disagree with the
normally.
no risk, and I'll tell you why. I agree with you. I don't think
Yeah.
it's high risk, but there's risk involved, and here's what it is. You have to look at the state of the NBA right now. One of the game's young faces of the game, is in trouble over gun charges.
Yep.
And so I do think that the risk involved here is if this blows up, the narrative around this is how in the hell can the Cavs in this moment,
Right.
in the Ja Morant moment, take a kid who had gun problems at Memphis?
Yeah,
I mean, it just seems
but
like
that would-
it might be tone deaf.
The only thing I'd say though is if that happened, they'd cut him, and the story's only a day. I think.
I get
you
it,
move
but,
on.
like,
from a basketball standpoint, there's no risk because he's the 49th pick.
I look at it like this: the Cavs have to, like, when you're a small market, and let's be clear, in the NBA, there's not really a large market, small market type things. But what you're talking about is when you got a kid like this, the Cavs, A, aren't getting free agents. B, they're never going to sign a top-notch, grade A tier guy. They just can't do it. What they have to do is they have to draft guys like Mobley and Garland, hope they pan out, and then sign them in that way and make your team competitive. But where the Cavs can get better and where the Cavs can catch certain teams is, if you're Kobe Altman, you say, okay, we got a mid-level exception. I'd rather put my resources into this guy than Dean Wade. Lamar Stevenson can't do what he do at
No, that's right.
Yeah, I buy that 100%.
That is fact.
But this kid, it's doubtful that he's helping the Cavs this year.
Well, no. And you said a good thing.
Yeah.
It's the infrastructure. When they had Porter Jr., they worked and they worked and they tried and they tried. They had to ship him off to Houston.
Right.
I don't know if they have anybody in their organization that the Cavs like a certain type player, right? You notice, if you really notice, they ain't really had no bad apples.
Well, and
since
that's also
LeBron.
part of the risk. They're
Yes.
bringing one in.
Yeah.
Potentially.
That's true.
They had, when LeBron was here, they took the Shumpers. They took the J.R. Smith. They had Kyrie.
Yeah.
Look, Kevin Love, was ornery sometimes. LeBron made all that go away. Like, yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it a certain way.
Because he was that alpha ringleader on the floor.
On the floor.
I don't know that they have that.
Yeah, I don't think they do either.
Darius Garland's not going to pull you aside. Now, Donovan Mitchell might be a guy that is a good influence on him and says, listen, man, if you want to get a certain way, you got to do this A, B, and C. And sometimes you can take one headache, right? Mobley doesn't talk. Garland ain't saying nothing. You don't see anything from Jared Allen. These guys, all good character kids, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Guess what? Maybe if you put him in there, you work on him. But he has something that you can't teach. He's 6'9". He can pull up. He can do a lot of different things. The question is, hey, Cavs, do you got some you got the front office people. You got the people persons, the guys that follow him around. Is he in a club or he's not?
Yeah.
What you got him on a routine to
He
do?
needs the guardrails now.
All the
and we'll find
guardrails.
out if the Cavs have
Yeah.
it. Mikey?
Yeah, G, I think you hit on one thing that has to be hammered here. His skill set is something that is not on this team. And in the second round, I think you're looking to fill out your roster with guys who may not make it, but if they do, brings a different element to the team that you don't currently have. And there's no one on the roster at the size of Emoni Bates that can make shots contested or open at the clip he does.
And
now, he's not a great athlete.
No.
He was the most highly touted prospect since KD as a sophomore. He hasn't grown or gotten any more athletic since he was 15. Do you want to hear his combine testing numbers?
Slight.
Yes.
Do you want to hear his combine testing numbers? Out of 57 qualified people who they tested, his lane agility, he came 48th out of 57. His three-quarter sprint, he came out of 55th out of 57. His standing vert, 51st out of 57. His max vert, 49 out of 57. And as far as his measurables go, he had the third smallest hand size out of 67 qualified people.
At 6'9"?
And he's the only player at over 6'7" who has a wingspan shorter than 6'11". So he's not super athletic. And that's why a lot of guys caught up to him in the recruiting rankings. He's a tall
He's a
scorer.
basketball player, though.
He's a tall scorer, yes.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be super athletic when you're 6'9" and have a great jump shooting form to make shots.
Right.
But he's not a guy who I think projects to break guys down off the dribble.
Oh, no.
He's a guy who's going to catch it in the post, step back, shoot over guys, and make open threes, which is what this Cavs team needed and hasn't had.
He's like a 40% shooter last year. That scares me.
He's a Paul George without the early Paul George athletic ability. He's not jumping over you. He's not done. If you look at him on a break, he's not high flying. And by the way, he's not a guy that could get one dribble and blow by. He's not a blow by guy. He's going to have to come off screens. But what he can do is that's why it's impressive, because he's not a great athlete. There's always someone in his face a little bit, and you watch these highlights, right? I mean, this is a post play. Guys are in his face, and guess what? He's going to pull up. Look,
he's a tough shot maker, and that is what the Cavs didn't have from the wing. And you don't have to be super athletic. If you can make tough shots, if you can make pull-ups, step backs over guys with your hands out because you're 6'9", you usually have a spot in the league. Now, can he get it all together mentally? Will he lock in on defense? Will he learn to pass the ball, which we didn't see at Eastern Michigan? Maybe, and if he does, he certainly has a role on this team. But that skill set of being 6'9", and as G mentioned, being a tough shot maker, the Cavs didn't have anyone at the wing position last year who could make any of these shots.
His passing game was non-existent last year.
He doesn't pass. His A button's broke.
Yeah.
I mean, does he eat ever?
I
know I eat too much, but like
salad. I know his biceps.
he
his
makes
biceps
Mobley
look
look
the size
fat.
of most people's wrists.
Yeah.
we put him with Mobley. Get it?
I heard Tristan McKenzie said, "Damn, that guy's skinny." Oh my God.
I think Cleveland may have the skinniest pro athletes of all time.
Hey, man,
you put
it's
Sticks,
crazy.
McKenzie, and
This guy
and
together.
Mobley,
Yeah.
and now Emoni Bates.
By the way, one more thing.
I'm
Mike,
taking all three of them for dinner.
Yeah,
and I'm dropping $20.
Mike, who was the kid you mentioned that you knew in high school that you thought maybe the Cavs could draft in the second round yesterday?
Jalen Wilson, and I don't believe he got drafted.
He didn't get drafted. So, like, the way you were describing that kid, like, and a lot of the players drafted in the second round are guys like the Cavs already have, like a Dean Wade or Lamar Stevens. Like, that maybe they can be contributors to the back end of the bench in the regular season, but they're probably not playing in the playoffs. This kid's, there's probably like a 2% chance he becomes a really good player. But most guys you draft in the second round, it's probably less than that. I mean, we'll see, but
They got it.
it's hard to get overly excited.
If the Cavs want to be good, they at some point in time are going to have to draft somebody that no one knows,
right? That
and
becomes
make
a player.
them good.
Yeah.
Because you watch
like
Miami.
a Jokic.
Joker, or the two teams that played. Like the Miami Heat had guys I had never heard of.
Yeah, you
But
got
that's because they got Riley and Spoelstra.
But here's the
they
thing,
get
though,
that.
G, yeah, you're right. But to your point, G, like this isn't a guy that no one knows.
Right.
This is somebody they know.
This is what I think. If nothing else, it creates a lot of interest, not just here locally, but around the league. Everybody is going to keep one eye on what this kid does because once upon a time he was supposed to be him.
But
and
if you had to bet right now in 5 years, is he a serviceable NBA player or out of the league? I'd bet out of the league.
That's a good bet.
If I had to bet, I hope I'm wrong.
I'm going to say, here's my eternal optimism.
Yeah.
I'm going to say serviceable player.
I'll say, listen, if he could, he was 17 years old. 17 when he got the gun charge.
Yeah.
He actually reclassified and went to college early. So he had a tough year at Memphis. He was 17.
Yeah, that's tough for anybody.
That's the major.
And by the way,
D1.
Memphis isn't the best city to go to college.
No, it's
to
not,
play
right?
basketball.
Like, it's not really the greatest city to just be walking around in. So one thing I will say, he's from Michigan, and what you hope is he looks at that Sports Illustrated cover and say, look, I'm playing in the city where another dude was used to be on the Sports Illustrated cover.
Yeah.
And guess what? I feel slighted. Like, guys like that got egos. Like, if you went from that to now Wemby is all that, and you like, wow, I'm in the second round. He don't get no guaranteed money. He might be playing for the Canton Charge or whatever the Charge they is now, or Cleveland Charge, whatever.
Charge.
But at the end of the day, if you the Cavs and you hit on that lottery ticket, guess what happens? Everything will look a lot better.
Sure, you can
now
change life now.
Now you're like, well, he's 6'9" and he's lighting it up, and we never thought we'd have a guy like that. So
what scares me about him is I'm sure all or many of the NBA teams spoke to him.
yes.
And you get a sense when you, not always, you can be fooled. I think Ja Morant fooled a lot of folks after his first gun charge. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people listened to, he was contrite. He was apologetic. He seemed like he was remorseful. I bought it. I thought, this kid is on the verge of turning his life around. And then not long after, boom.
Right.
So you can be fooled, and teams have been fooled a lot in the past. But the fact that many teams talked to him,
Yeah.
and they all passed on him for the most part twice, that scares me a little bit. That means there were a lot of red flags from other teams that thought about him, but in the end said he's just not ready.
Right.
He's just not ready. We'll find out,
Yeah.
I guess, in short order.
Before we move on, though, let's grade the pick. What would you give the pick?
B
Grade
minus.
the pick. B minus?
Yeah. Because you don't get an A in the second round unless it's 5 years later and it was Joker.
Yeah, I mean, I give it a C. I give every
Okay.
second round pick a C. I don't know.
I'm going to give it a B+, and if he turns out to be good,
Well, then it's gonna be an A.
then
Sure,
it's
it's
an
gonna
A.
be good.
Yeah.
And I liked it, and I've been tough on Kobe, right? He said he ain't making no big moves. I will give him credit for taking a swing like this because the risk-reward behavior.
That's a good point.
I'll give him
in a
credit for that.
vacuum, he said, I'm taking no big chances,
Right.
no major changes.
Right.
And now, granted, there's context to this, but he just landed at no cost a former high school player of the year
Right.
and a former high school player that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. What the hell?
Right.
Take a swing.
Yep.
You're in the game, and I have nothing but high hopes and the best wishes for the kid.
That's right.
I'm pulling for him, and I would be if he was in Detroit or Atlanta or
Yeah.
wherever. I'm
Hopefully he
hoping
turns
like
his
hell
life around.
he can turn his life around and become a positive example. Here's what scares me. I thought this morning when I read the article. What scared the hell out of me was the gun charge. One of the weapons that he was found to be in possession with after he ran a stop sign had a missing serial number. And you know what that means.
Yeah. He got to.
You know what that means. That gun was either stolen, purchased, or in all likelihood had been used in the commission of other violent crimes.
Yes.
That's when guns have missing serial numbers. So it's not a good weapon to be found. I mean, it's not like he just had a regular weapon.
Did he have? I don't think it was weird because I don't think he had ammunition.
It was unloaded.
It was unloaded.
It was unloaded, but the weapon
still,
was in
If
on his
nothing
person.
else, it showed terrible judgment.
Terrible judgment. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, man, when you have a gun with one of 3 serial numbers missing, that's a really bad sign, and it speaks to probably the people that he's with and how they get access to those weapons. I've heard stories about how you get these guns and what these guns symbolize, and it's not a good thing. But all of that being said, nothing but the best wishes for him. McNuggets?
We got a YouTube poll and a super chat to get to based on this topic. And whenever we bring you comments from the internet, it's brought to us by PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Broady's bottom line says Michael Redd was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Very true, out of Ohio State. Fun fact about Michael Redd, we both played for Coach Jim O'Brien. I have a better winning
true.
percentage as a starter
Oh, wow.
than
Very
Michael
true.
Redd
Oh,
does
wow,
for
he
Coach
went there.
OB. So
Okay.
I'm going to toot my own horn there. 4-0, baby, before career starts. Never lost. Is what it is. We asked the YouTube chat, did the Cavs get a steal in the draft with Emoni Bates? And 62% said yes. And I'm actually going to agree with them. We don't know if he's a steal, but I think he's absolutely worth the risk to take at 49 because, as G mentioned, it's pick number 49.
Yeah.
There's no risk, and of all the guys taken between 49 and 60, he certainly has the highest upside. So
I would agree with that.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, very good. We moving on then?
We are moving on
11:30
to
on the dot. That's when we're supposed to move to the Nick Chubb game.
The Nick Chubb.
exactly on the dot.
The hell's that?
I have to set this up for you guys. So there is certain things that come across the timeline that make you say, there's no way this could be real, right? There's no way. So I go and I research it and I go, holy crap.
It's real.
This is real. So I saw a Nick Chubb stat last week, and I've been saving this for a day Jay and Bull were on the show together because I know you guys love
Good move.
Nick Chubb, carries, analytics, running the ball,
Love
run the damn ball. I've been saving this for you guys. So I went and I dug through the internet, scrubbed the bottom of the ocean for the most absurd, insane Nick Chubb stats I could
Went to
find.
that depth, huh?
So I have.
Did you find anything down there?
Bad timing
Oh,
for
yeah.
that
Yeah,
joke,
bad timing
Mike.
with that one.
Yeah, you're right. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Bad job. No, my bad. Hand
Holy
up.
cow.
Hand up. My bad. Sorry. That was not meant to be
Insensitive jerk.
insensitive. I apologize.
19-year-old on that damn boat.
That's my bad. That was terrible. So we're just gonna move on. I'm sorry. That
It's
came out
okay.
terribly.
It's okay. It happens.
So there's 9 of these. Some are real. Some are fake.
Oh, you're gonna. Oh,
We're
okay.
gonna see if you can decipher what is a real Nick Chubb fact and what's a fake Nick Chubb fact.
All right, come
And
on.
just
Well,
to
if it's
give
a
you
fake
guys,
Nick Chubb, then it's not a fact.
No.
so what's a real fact and what's made up? There
Yeah.
you go.
Okay.
Fact or fiction? Nick
Fact or
Chubb.
fiction, crazy Nick Chubb stats, and what you need to know is I didn't change it from 2.2 to 2.3.
Good,
It is
good.
either
Yeah.
real or it is fake.
All right,
There
good.
is
Okay.
no
None of that
there's
shenanigans.
no
None of
half
those
answers here
shenanigans,
like there is in
We've
true
seen
and
him
false.
play
Yeah,
that
we've
game a
definitely
lot.
seen him do that plenty.
No, this is either fully true or fully false, and we're doing this to amplify how freaking good Nick Chubb
No, he's
really
tremendous.
is. He's even better than we think sometimes. Anthony, let's drop the PCC read here. We're moving on from there. They're going to be busting my balls back here for some stuff, so I'm going to get on theirs. And are you guys ready to play the first official Is Nick Chubb Even Better Than We Think game?
We're ready.
It's a long title for a game.
So are we writing?
ready.
Are we writing
You're going to
fact
write
or
fake
fiction
or
on
real?
here?
Fact or
Fact or
fiction.
fiction.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Fact or fiction?
Number 1, in 2020 and 2021, Nick Chubb broke a total of 118 tackles, the most of any running back in the league. Is that fact or is that fiction?
See, now again, you've got multiple.
It's either all real or all fake. There's no.
So it's not going to be, well, in 2020 he did, but not in
Yeah.
21. You're saying over that 2-year span.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. And this is 1,000% correct, my answer.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
You're writing a lot of letters over there, bro.
Let's go.
G. Bush
That's a
says.
fact. That's a fact.
Fact. Guess what? It's fiction. It is fiction. Dalvin Cook actually
Is
broke.
Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook
What?
broke the most tackles over that 2-year
By
span.
how many?
Damn it.
By 3.
See,
Son of a-
that is kind of.
Yeah.
That
And
is
Derrick-
That
nitpicking.
is kind of
And
that's
Derrick Henry
nitpicking.
finished 3rd. It went Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Derrick
Yeah,
Henry.
but you see what he did there. He said, "I'm not going to say 2.2 and
Yeah.
2.3 out of 118 tackles. He was -3 from the leader.
That was totally true, though. Or it was totally true that it was
Yeah.
wrong.
But
There
it was
not
very,
half of-
very, very close.
There was not half of it that was
Close.
wrong. Okay.
Close second.
Question or statement number 2. Nick Chubb has generated 1,312 rushing yards over expected since 2018, the most by a running back over the last
That's
5
fiction.
seasons.
It's 13-11.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed because I think I knew that the first one was fiction.
You did?
I think I knew that. I think I knew he was second. And I'm pissed that I said fact. I'm doing it again. Fact.
Jay says fiction. We have 2 facts from Bull and G, and the answer to this one, Steve, when you're ready, it is real.
Damn it.
This is the stat I saw that made me go on a deep dive. This was from ESPN Next Gen Stats, which inspired the rest of this. But that is true. 1,312 yards over expected, the
Oh, it was
most
at
of
least
any
13,
running back
13.
in that span.
We set it
And
up.
what that stat tells you, or tells me at least, is that
He should be getting the ball more.
Yeah, I agree.
no,
When you have one of the best, you use him and
you
what he
could
does.
make that argument, sure. But what it tells me is that when sometimes people will make the excuse, well, oh, Nick Chubb's only so good because of his offensive line. But that tells you, no, that he is succeeding at a level beyond what his offensive line is providing him.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of what he's earning on his own to some degree. Go ahead, Mike.
Number 3, the third statement. Nick Chubb is the only running back in NFL history to average at least 5 yards per carry on 100 or more carries in each of his first 5 seasons. Once again, it is either all true or all false, or all fact or all fiction.
I think somebody else did this, but I think it's a tremendous record.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Jim Brown did it, too. At least.
Jay says fiction. G says fiction. Bull says fact. The answer. And our new leader is Adam the Bull.
Wow.
Bull is now advocating 26 carries for Nick Chubb
He's
in
making our
2023.
case.
Thank you so much. Listen, and at this rate, Nick Chubb
God.
is going to be the MVP.
Hey, guys.
Although maybe his
That's crazy.
maybe he does average such a high yards per carry because they don't overwork him.
What I don't understand
That's a
here
crazy
is
stat.
how Jim Brown did that for his career.
There was one season in which it was not.
But that brought his 5-year average down?
In each of his 5 seasons. Not over
Oh, it
careers.
was
Each
each
of his 5 seasons.
Yeah, there was 1 year where he did not. You're right.
Each of his 5.
Okay.
We'll get to a Jim Brown related question later that you may have just answered for everybody.
Probably.
So,
I
way
mean,
to
if
go.
it's Jim Brown related, we all
Way
know
to go.
it. We all know it.
Well, it's Jim Brown tied into. You'll see. We'll
Okay.
get there. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Go ahead.
Question number 4. The Browns went 6-0 last season when Nick Chubb carried the ball at least 20 times.
Are you really putting this effing question in there? This absurd
Fact or
question.
fiction?
You know what it is. I don't think it went. I don't. 6-0 last year. I think that's a fact. Excuse. I think that's a fiction.
You do think it's fiction?
I think it's fiction because I
Jay?
don't believe it.
Fact.
Jay says fact.
I think it was like 5-1.
Bull says fake. G says fake. And guess what? It is fake. They were 5-1.
Damn it. Which game did
Told
they
you.
lose?
The last one. And I'll have to go back. It was. No.
No, it wasn't
I
the last
have it
one.
written down. Hold on. What was the one game?
I
Probably,
said that-
was it, no, it wasn't New Orleans either. They
Oh,
didn't
New
run the-
Orleans.
It
New
was New
Orleans.
Orleans?
New
I
Orleans.
thought it was 5. Yep. Thought it was 5-1.
5-1.
I can't. I don't remember him having 20 carries in that New Orleans game. And by the way, if Njoku catches the ball,
They win, and it's
they're
a 6-0.
6-0 when
Yep.
he carries the ball 20 times or more. Cause and effect. Very simple.
Zero cause and effect.
Very, very, very simple.
So we've gone through 4, and Jay, you're
Go ahead.
0 for 4.
It's terrible.
Oh, for
Do you
4.
love Nick Chubb?
Apparently, he's
Better than we thought.
no. Apparently, he's not as good as I think he is.
What a spin zone.
I mean,
What a spin zone from Jay to get off being 0 for 4.
I mean,
Yeah.
here's the other thing too. I'm discounting the fact and the man trying to think how you're thinking.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm not even thinking about the
trying to
number.
get
I'm
in his
thinking,
brain.
what is Mike doing here?
All right, next one. Question number 5. Nick Chubb set a Georgia Bulldogs powerlifting record with a 1-rep max squat of 725 pounds. Fact or fiction?
And it can't just be the amount of weight is wrong, correct?
Correct.
All right.
725 is crazy. The most I've ever done is 595. And I'm a lineman, but he is Nick Chubb and fast from Georgia with nothing to do but lift weights. I'm gonna go.
Go to Braves games,
Yeah,
Hawks games.
he's not gonna talk to me.
Go to a lot of strip clubs. A lot of good strip clubs apparently in Atlanta.
Yes, there is.
Bull says fiction.
Magic City, shout
Jay
out.
says fake. G,
No, Jay said
That is a
fact.
fact.
fact. Sorry.
Mike can't read.
G says fact. The answer is fiction.
At this point, I want to go Owen for whatever.
He
how many
does not
questions
have
are.
the record, and there is no record of him ever squatting 725 pounds. That was fake all around.
By the way, if Jay goes winless,
Wait,
are we
was
going to
it
have a
squat?
parade?
I thought it was deadlift.
Will we have a parade
Squat.
for Jay if he goes winless in this?
I don't want a parade. It's the biggest mistake Cleveland sports fans ever made, and I know it was a small minority of them. that participated.
I can't believe we didn't get into that yet. All these years we done did this show.
Oh, I've pissed on it a couple times on the show. I mean, I think it speaks to the fan, the mentality of the fan.
That is a loser mentality.
It is a loser mentality. When you celebrate going 0-6, that's the.
Oh, God.
Don't get me started.
Score update through 5 questions. Bull has 4. G has 2. Jay is still waiting to get on the scoreboard.
Now I'm just going to go with my go gut the other way.
I felt like
All
I
right.
had
Costanza move.
Next
It is a
statement. Is it fact or fiction? In 2019, Nick Chubb reached 21.95 miles per hour on an 88-yard touchdown run versus Baltimore, the fastest speed reached on a touchdown that season.
Man, see, that could be all right. I remember this game very vividly, and Baltimore was coming back too.
Boom, 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 boom.
Jay says fiction. G says true. Bull says factual, so that'll be real. And the answer to keep the streak alive.
I remember it too.
Jay loses.
I do remember it.
Yeah,
Bull and
like
G got it right. It is true.
he had a nice little touchdown where he was weaving in between people earlier in that
Well,
game.
but the end of it was a dead-on straight sprint,
Right.
and you that was when you really saw, oh yeah, the guy's got world-class speed.
I'm
A
like, this-
secondary
definitely
fact
world-class.
on that run, Steve, this is not the next one. He held over 21 miles per hour for 41 yards, which was the longest time in a 5-season span that ESPN's Next Gen Stats
That's
have
unreal.
tracked a speed that long on one single play.
And look at his size.
He's sneaky.
Like,
he's sneaky.
you can't
fast.
use this guy enough. You can't use him enough.
Why is he? Hey, listen, I'm sorry, Jerome Ford. We're redshirting you this year.
But we're not even running the ball this year.
Right.
Like, don't get your hopes up.
You're right. We're just going five wide. Chubb out left.
Chubb staying as a blocker.
Tight end. Blocking back.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, next up. It's a long statement, so bear with me.
All right.
There were only 129 instances of a running back having 190 or more carries while maintaining a 5 yards per carry average or better. Nick Chubb's done it 5 times in 5 career seasons, tied with Jim Brown and Barry Sanders, the most all time.
I think I seen this somewhere.
How many years? What was Nick Chubb's rookie year?
See the 18?
So he's played 5 years.
He's played
correct?
5 years,
Yeah,
correct.
I don't know if he had 129 carries in his rookie year.
Yeah, I think he did.
Oh, he'd have to have 190 carries.
Oh, 100.
I mean, I think for Chubb that's attainable, but for Jim Brown, remember, he played some years where I think they only played 12 games and then later 14 games.
Yeah, but in those days, he was probably carrying the ball like 25 times a
He
game.
was the workhorse.
I'm going to go with true.
So I think it's not, but I'm in my reverse logic, I'm going to say that it is.
Bull
I
says
think it's
false.
fiction.
G and J say true, aka real. Will the streak continue? Will Jay's winless streak continue, Steve? It is real. Jay's on the board. Jay is on the board.
I thought that Barry Sanders had done it more than 5.
I didn't think Nick Chubb had 190 carries his rookie year. 'cause remember
192 carries as a rookie.
Remember early in the
192.
season, he wasn't playing that much.
No.
They were using Carlos Hyde and
That was
somebody
smart.
else.
That was good.
He ended with 192 carries.
Yeah, he
Jim
took
Brown
over second half. They traded away Carlos Hyde, I think.
They did trade him.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more. Statement number 8. In 2020, Nick Chubb averaged 10.03 yards per carry in the fourth quarter. That's the highest number for any running back in the last 30 seasons with at least 30 fourth quarter carries.
That's the stat that made you say, wow. Wow, this dude is that good.
If this is true,
Jay says true, Bull says true, G says false, and this is not only real, this may be the most absurd stat
that's
I
in the
remember that.
history of running backs.
man.
I agree with you, Mike.
Seriously,
And
it might
that's
be the
not
most absurd
hyperbole.
stat. You know, I'm not.
Read that
yes.
stat again. That is not hyperbole.
How many
No.
carries? Do we know how many carries it was?
2.
No, he was at least
No.
30. I don't know how many carries. I could do a deep dive
With
on
at least 30 carries. That's
it.
crazy.
This stat came from NFL Live. They tweeted it out. I can find you the
Just amazing.
The
He
stat,
was
but
incredible that year at the fourth quarter. He just
Think about that. At least 30 carries. So let's just even
What
say
was their
30.
record that year?
In 20. That was the playoff
Yeah.
year, wasn't it?
Yeah. What was their record?
Playoff worthy.
Yeah.
10-6.
They make
Yeah.
the playoffs?
They were good.
They win a playoff game?
They did.
Cause and effect.
Oh, he'll
Okay.
be carrying the ball a lot in the fourth quarter this year if they have leads.
Frickin' better.
You got to have a lead to run the ball in the fourth quarter.
They had a lot of leads.
But I really do think that might be the most impressive individual running back stat ever.
I am not going to say that that's prisoner of the moment.
It's amazing.
That is absolutely astounding. Not just that he did it, the fact that no one else has done it.
And it's one thing if it's 10 carries and he broke an 85-yard rush and it distorts it. 30 carries is an entire game.
And honestly, like, to me, that stat is what drives my insistent mentality that he's not used enough. They're saying that, well, we have statistical evidence that after 17 yards per carry, he's ineffective. That flies in the face of this.
It's crazy.
Like, just look at this stat, Paul DePodesta. The guy is a Mack truck that gets stronger like no running back ever has in the history of the game as the game goes on.
10 yards per carry. That's
stupid. Insane. That's the first down every time he touches the ball.
You know what? Hey, can you imagine? Can you imagine if the Pittsburgh Steelers had him?
Oh my God.
That's why I always like. Can you imagine if the Baltimore Ravens had Nick Chubb?
I know.
They would bring Nick Chubb and beat you to death with Nick Chubb just bludgeoning you down after down.
Yeah, and then he'd be out of the league in 4 years.
But he have a Super Bowl.
Chubb is
Question right now. You get Nick Chubb for 10 years and 1 playoff win, or you get him for 5 years and a Super Bowl. What you taking?
Of course you take it. But
no question.
What?
No question.
Well, so you think if Nick Chubb had averaged 3 more carries a game, the Browns would have a Super Bowl right now?
The anecdotal evidence is 1,000% absolutely they would have been better over that time.
I mean, he's probably third in carries during that time. So, I mean,
how
many more carries could he be?
He should be first because he's doing something that no other running back has ever done. Use him.
Do you want Aaron?
You got a cheat code. Use it.
You can't use a running back in the fourth quarter when you're losing games.
You can. I mean, because a lot of those games, they were one-score games, especially last year. A lot of those games.
Again.
And I thought, not last year, but 2 years ago, I thought we panicked. When we were down 1 score late in a lot of those games, I thought we panicked. Even like down 1 score in the second quarter, you see pass, punt. Like, hey, it's early.
Again, we've argued about this a million times. Nick Chubb gets plenty of carries. I think they've been smart with it overall. Of course, there are examples in certain games where they could have given him the ball more. We'd all agree on that. But overall, he gets plenty of carries. He's not being underutilized. I don't see that at all.
Well, we will always disagree on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. McNuggets, this last one.
And just, we do have one more, but just in case anyone thinks I'm making it up, this is the graphic from NFL Live. In that season.
Oh, my God.
It's not even close. And I just looked up.
So this is first, second, and third, right? Derrick Henry was second. Aaron Jones was third. Yards per carry in the fourth.
In that season, for running backs in the fourth quarter with 30 carries. So
I mean, guys, in today's era of pro sports, that's Barry Bonds-esque. That's Barry Bonds stat.
Yeah,
material.
that's crazy. I wonder how many carries he got comparatively in the fourth quarter to other players. We don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know that off the top of my head. I do know it was a minimum of 30 carries, so it had to be at least
That's
a certain
not really that
threshold.
impressive. That's just 2 carries a game. You know what I mean? Over the whole season.
For what?
Fourth quarter carries, minimum of 30. Like, if it was just 30 carries that he got in the fourth quarter, and I don't know that it was, then it's a sample size problem.
Right, that's less than 2 carries a game.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Or 2 fourth quarter carries.
Yeah, 2 fourth quarter carries. And that's what I'm saying. And look, he only averages 4 carries.
But that's what I'm saying. I think
I
think by having the minimum, it washes out the guys who.
I know,
only get
but
it.
like.
Right.
So to Bull's point and to my point too, like it could be a sample size skew. If Derrick Henry, or excuse me, if Nick Chubb had 30 carries, but Derrick Henry had 75, and Aaron Jones had 84. Well, then that's like saying, wow, Kevin Moss averages a home run every 7 at bats.
Right.
Wow, you did it for such a small.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the.
Now, it's fine if those guys have more, but as long as it's close.
Yeah, I want those numbers to be close. Yeah. And based on the disparity between the numbers, I bet it wasn't close.
I don't know. I bet you it was, because I remember that year as that was going on thinking, man, he's just killing it in the fourth quarter. And I feel
why
like.
Why would you put minimum 30 carries, though?
I think
to
just
wipe out the guys who had, weren't full-time starters.
I get that, but why not, like, just average? So if a running back gets 16 carries a game, which is probably about the average, maybe a little below the average, that's 4 per quarter. I want the minimum number to be 16 times 4. I want it to be 64. Minimum carries, 64.
Yeah, or at least 3.5 per quarter.
50.
Yeah, which would be 50.
Oh, actually, I got your numbers.
Okay,
I got
great.
your numbers. Nick Chubb had 33 carries in the fourth quarter.
Okay, how many did Henry have?
79.
Okay, that's exactly
Wow.
what
Yeah.
I hypothesized. That's why you're.
And how many did Aaron Jones, I bet, didn't have as much?
Wait. This is Kareem Hunt had 83 fourth quarter carries that year.
That's impossible.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
he wasn't here.
Yeah, he was in Kansas City
Yeah.
then.
No, it says
No,
Cleveland.
he was.
It says Cleveland.
2020, right?
So wait a minute. In 2020, Kareem Hunt had 83 fourth quarter carries and Nick Chubb had 33.
According to the football database right now, yes. And I'll have Anthony look at this to tell me I'm not crazy. I am reading that correct.
doesn't make
33 for Nick
sense.
Chubb and 83 for Kareem Hunt.
Good God.
Yeah.
How many did Aaron Jones have, who was third in the yards per?
There's no
50.
way Kareem Hunt had 83 carries in the fourth quarter. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't remember.
I can't double check that. I'm just saying I
You
found a
guys
website that
do have
sorted
to
it.
consider that Nick Chubb missed some games that year. Nick Chubb in 2020 missed 4 games. He got injured in the Cowboys game, missed I think 3
That
games.
is true.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb only played 12 games that year.
Yeah.
So he had 33
yeah.
carries in 12 games, which is
But the stat's still impressive, but it's a little less impressive that his body of work in the fourth quarter was so small.
nope. I'm gonna give one more to back Chubb. His longest carry of the 33 was 59 yards. Of Derrick Henry's 79, he had a 94-yarder, and Aaron Jones had a 79-yarder.
Okay.
So that does skew it a little
Does
bit
skew
in
it
their
a little
favor
bit back
too.
in their favor. Yeah, back in Chubb's
So-
favor. But it's a very small sample size comparatively.
And it just goes to
You
show
know,
you.
Derrick Henry had twice the carries in the fourth quarter that Chubb had.
And it just goes to show you, compared to those other running backs, those guys are getting the ball when it counts.
Way more.
Way more.
Well,
Even though he missed 4 games.
I
Yeah.
don't know that those numbers are accurate because I can't imagine.
Well,
Kareem
I
Hunt
mean,
got
we have to for this discussion.
83.
We have to assume they are. For this discussion,
I mean, if he played 12 games, that's 4 games of carries.
yeah, but what that means though is he played 12 fourth quarters, and that means that he averaged fewer than 3 carries per fourth quarter,
yeah.
while his teammate was averaging 7 or no 16 games. He had 80 something. I think you said 80.
Nick Kareem Hunt, according to this
83.
website, this
so
is
he's
the
averaging
football
over
database.
5 carries per fourth quarter.
Well,
Yeah, he had 83 to 30.
When Nick Chubb is, that's what play action can do. Nick Chubb is in the game. You're going to, you could run play action because they think he's going to get the ball. You may end up throwing him more. But if it's Kareem Hunt,
Yeah.
they might say, well, no, we're just going to try
Either
to
way,
pound this and get out of here.
What they did worked.
Yeah.
They made the playoffs.
Playoffs.
So, okay, what's the last one?
Wait, I found one more website that may have confirmation on this. I'll look back into it. I'm
What
just
was
going
the
off one
website that had these carry numbers?
The football database, which has I've used before. I think it's a pretty good website.
Yeah, they're pretty good too. I've used them too.
All right, last one from Nick Chubb. Is this fake or is this a real stat? In 2020, going back to that year, NFL running backs averaged 3.7 yards per carry against the heavy box. Nick Chubb averaged 6.9 on 63 attempts.
I'm going to go with fact. That's still 6.9 in the heavy box is crazy.
Fact.
I knew
Fact
his
and Bull,
elusive-
you're going with?
I'm going with fact. No, fiction.
2 reals, 1 fake, and the answer is real. That is real. And a final score update. Bull did not get that. J and G did, which means I think Bull is still the winner. We're getting our final tally. And Bull is our winner with 6 correct answers. J with 3 and G Bush with 5. Nick Chubb's amazing.
He's
End
a
of story.
beast.
Nick Chubb's amazing.
He's a beast.
I mean, 6.9 yards per carry with heavy boxes. It's crazy. But, PFF,
By the way, Nick Chubb that year. How about this stat? Nick Chubb in the fourth in 2020 in the fourth quarter with the game within 7 points.
Which
He
is
had-
most games in the NFL.
Right. Now there were only 8 examples of that for Nick Chubb.
Really?
Only 8 games where
Where
he
the-
played
Oh, where he played because
and the game was within 4
Right,
points, within 7 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So in those 8 games, he had 24 carries, so 3 carries per game in those situations. He averaged almost 13 yards per carry in those situations. Derrick Henry, in those same situations,
probably half that.
Derrick Henry in that same year, in the fourth quarter, with the game within 7, he had 11 examples, and he averaged 5 yards per carry. So he averaged 2 more carries per game in the fourth quarter close games.
But only 40% of the yards.
He averaged 3.2 yards per carry. So
Oh, I
Nick
thought you said
Chubb
wow.
averaged almost 10 yards more per carry in the fourth quarter in close games.
Than Derrick Henry, who was known that year also as their workhorse.
Yeah.
You know, this just I don't get too far into it, but when analytics is funny to me because you can pick
You can use them to
use
create anything you want.
But man, 13 yards a carry, you talk about there's a limit on what we want a pitch count and all. I said, listen, it makes more. Think about it. It made more sense back then because we wasn't even throwing the ball like that.
No, we weren't.
Now, okay, you got a quarterback, you think you move the ball downfield. I get if you say we're going to try to move and do some things. But once again, boys and girls, Nick Chubb will be a big, huge part of this offense because if he's getting 13 yards a carry and 6 yards, 7 yards a carry with heavy boxes, if Deshaun Watson does what he is supposed to do, ain't going to be no heavy boxes.
Nick Chubb's going to get plenty of carries. He'll be top 5 in carries again this year, even with the bigger influence in the passing game.
I mean, he should be. That's like a baseline expectation. My point on all of this is that when you have a cheat code, and some of these stats prove that he's a cheat code.
Yeah.
When you have that, you use that. In 2020, they made the playoffs. They had a winning record. He set all these ridiculous fourth quarter records. God dang. Use the guy. My fear is that we're going to Joe Thomas this poor young man.
Well, it's a possibility.
Well, he's halfway home.
Look, it's a lot
He's halfway through his expected career life, and he's played in one play, or he's got one playoff win.
That's why this year we keep going back to it. That's why it's so pivotal. Like the amount of pressure because you talked about being 0-16, 1-15. You know, you don't understand. I can't do that no more. People say, G. Bush, you talk all the time about these guys and whether or not they're going to be here. Like, you just want them to lose. And I'm like, no, listen. Them losing.
Who would want them to lose? Nobody here wants them to lose.
Like, if they lose and you got to get rid of Barry and Stefanski, do you know what that means? That means everything that we sat through for the last 1-15
was a waste. Nobody wants them to lose.
By the way, for all the complaints, Nick Chubb had more rushing attempts last year than he had in any other year of his career.
And it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Well, how much more would you want him to have?
They played 17 games, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So go yards per game, or carries
per game. It would be second behind 2019.
Okay.
He had 4 more carries last year in 17 games than he did in 2019 and 16 games.
So they had a full extra game, and he had 4 more carries.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, 302 carries is a lot. You guys make it seem
is a
like
lot.
he barely gets the ball.
No, I don't. Nobody does.
You guys do.
No, what we say, and I think I'm speaking for you too. If I'm not, correct me. What we've said is, as much as he gets the ball, he's been our only consistent performer for the last 5 years at a skill position.
And
use him more.
And maybe
That's
the
all I'm saying.
reason he's been consistent is because they don't overuse him. The Titans have overused Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry's been wildly successful.
Not as good as Nick Chubb.
And by the way, he continues to churn it out. Like, look at his numbers. He's right there with Nick Chubb every year.
But not in the yards per carry because
I don't know. What are their yards per carry? How different are they for the last 2 years?
So Nick
For
Chubb,
their career?
Yeah, just the last 2 years.
Nick Chubb the last 2 years has averaged about 5.3 yards per carry.
Okay. And where's Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry has averaged, let's see. You got it, Mike?
For their careers, Chubb is 5.2 to Derrick Henry's 4.8.
Yeah, I mean they're apples
That's a
and
big
apples.
difference. That's a half a yard per carry.
That's not that big of a difference, Bull.
Half a yard per carry, I feel like.
That's a huge
No,
difference.
because we're talking about 5 yards per carry is the holy grail. Like, nobody's done that. Nobody gets there.
Derrick Henry.
And Derrick Henry's 4.8?
The last 2 years, Derrick Henry's averaging 4.3 yards per carry.
Okay.
And Nick, his numbers have gone down. the last 2 years.
Is he older? He is older than
yes,
Nick Chubb.
Right. It's been 7 years in the league.
I would expect
Henry's 29.
So I would expect
years
his
6
numbers
and
to
7
go down.
have been his 2 worst years in terms of yards per
And
carry.
you would expect that.
Well, part of that is because he got overworked.
Part of that is also because biologically he's 2 years older, and running backs we know get old real fast. I'm not saying Derrick Henry's old, but I'm saying we're seeing a decline in his production.
By the way, there's and I would all tell people, there's no such thing as saving nobody in football.
No,
there
that's
is no
nonsense.
save. Like there's no save. It's not like you're less hurt. Like if you don't get the ball next game, the damage is already done.
All right,
There's no saving it.
We've beat this to death, I think, at this point. We'll
I
see
think
what
we
it is
have.
this year.
And that's beautiful because you
Yeah.
stopped exactly at 12. You guys know what that means. It is officially
Yeah.
the lunch hour
Here
of
we
the
go.
Ultimate Cleveland
G's
Sports
got
Show.
all his college
And
stuff
that is
on.
sponsored by Colleague Companies Championship. You can check out all your favorite senior golfers at the famous Firestone Country Club, July 12th through the 16th. Kids get in free. There's concerts every night, fun, family-friendly events for everyone. You can find all your information on colleaguegolf.com.
Taylor Swift? No, I can't say that. People go crazy.
Could you imagine?
Taylor Swift's at colleagues' events, and now I'm just saying how funny that was. We got concerts every night. I'm like, yo, this dude is on some
Taylor
other-
swinging by for a little Saturday night show at Firestone.
Yeah, look, that'd be fire though. That'd be nuts. I don't know. He got a promoter or something. He bring.
That costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it might cost dozens and dozens of dollars. Yeah. What time do we bring in?
We got Carlos Baerga in 15 minutes.
Okay, great.
According to Steve. And this next topic was from an article Steve sent us.
Can I make a suggestion? If you don't want to follow it, that's fine. Do we want to move up Guardians so it leads into Carlos, or do we want to hold Guardians until after Carlos? Either way works. Doesn't matter to me.
What's the other topic we're considering here?
The overrated.
The Bleacher Report's most overrated
Which is a good topic.
position.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do
It's
it. We can
football.
do Guardians
baseball
after Carlos.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to set
Go
this
ahead.
up, Steve Becker, our EP, sent us a text with a link to a Bleacher Report article a couple weeks ago. We've been saving this for a day where we had some time to get into it. And Bleacher Report went through and named their most overrated at each position in the NFL. And 2 Browns landed on the list. They had David Njoku as the most overrated tight end, and Dalvin Tomlinson, their new defensive tackle signee, as the most overrated defensive tackle. Once again, this is not us. This is Bleacher Report's article, and they listed some honorable mentions as well. So I toss it to you guys. Do you feel like either Njoku or Tomlinson is actually overrated?
Bull?
Well, before I answer the question, he picked an odd reason for why they're overrated, Mike. I think that's important for context.
Yeah,
for you to
explain
mention
that, Bull. Explain why he
Yeah,
said
well,
Njoku was overrated.
He said based on how they're getting paid.
Well, that's kind of how players are rated.
I guess so to some degree. No, Njoku isn't a bad tight end, but he isn't a great one either. And the
So
fact
would you have
is
been better if it was just overpaid instead of overrated?
Yes.
Because I think one
David
is
Njoku is definitely overpaid.
1,000%.
David Njoku is in my opinion, an average to slightly above average tight end.
I agree with that.
And he's getting paid like an elite tight end.
He is top 5.
And he's not.
He's not.
There's only a few guys, I don't even know if there are 5.
There are 3.
But he's not one of them.
No.
I actually think Travis Kelce's in a class by himself.
He is.
And then
he's like the Barry Bonds now.
That's right.
He's doing things that we've rarely seen, if ever, by a tight end.
Right. And then level 2, is Kittle when he's healthy, obviously, and Mark Andrews. Those guys are
That's it.
in the second tier. I don't even think he's in the third tier because I think there are other guys that I'd much rather have over him.
He might be to me, Bull, but to your point, tight end is a really fascinating position. It is a position that warrants itself to having the guru, the one guy that is just a clear standalone, and then a couple of other difference makers. I mean, this is proven in fantasy. And then there's like 25 guys.
That are interchangeable.
They're just guys.
Yeah.
They're not going to change your life.
Yes.
They're not going to be reasons you win every Sunday.
Yeah.
Baltimore has one. San Francisco has one. Kansas City has one.
Yeah.
Full stop. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other guys that I like. The kid on Atlanta hasn't done it
lived
yet.
up to his
Now,
potential.
he hasn't had any quarterback. Yeah, they haven't had a quarterback there.
That's true.
But he's got the potential. I don't know, but there's a couple of kids that were drafted this year that people are really high on.
Yeah.
One of them went to Buffalo, so we'll see.
We'll
if
see
he
how it
turns
works
out there.
Do you think he's overrated?
I think compared to who? Like Like,
Overrated means I know because both touches on a point.
Yeah.
Like, is he overpaid? I think we all agreed he's overpaid.
he's overpaid.
Because that you can look at the paycheck and the production,
yeah.
and there is a world of difference between
But
the two.
who's rating him as a superstar? I've never heard nobody come up and be like,
well, the Browns are because they paid
you know
him
what?
like one.
I'm glad you asked it that way
Yeah.
because here's what my instinct. I didn't look at anything when I got that. I go, by the Browns rating, he's way overrated.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like the Browns.
That's it.
In fact, in the article, the author Gary said that when he signed the contract, it was literally what in the world has this guy done to get $14 million a year? And that's what I said on the show the next day. I'm like, I hate this deal. I like that he's going to be part of our team. I hate that he's going to take up this many dollars from a resource standpoint. He's not worth it. Now, all that being said, that might change this year. So I'm still ready to say one more year on this guy.
This is the last year, though.
But this is it.
This is last year.
If I'm not mistaken, I think 2 years were guaranteed, and I think there might have been a team option after 2.
I mean,
I can't remember.
If he doesn't if he doesn't get into at least the second tier of.
I need top 5 production in yards, receptions,
Otherwise,
and touchdowns.
see ya.
That's where the rubber meets the road.
Because otherwise, I can
here.
fill your spot with anybody.
Other than that,
Yeah.
we've got guys. We've got guys that can do what you do.
There's a lot of veteran tight ends that bounce from team to team. Like we saw Mike Gesicki change teams. We saw Hayden Hurst go to the Bengals. He was pretty good last year.
Sure.
Then he goes to it. Most of the tight ends are dependent on the quarterback.
If
There's
you look
only
at
a few
how
that are.
this organization has just tight ends specifically. Who was the punk they brought in from Atlanta?
Austin Hooper.
Oh my God, that guy couldn't put two
And I thought he was going to
steps
be
together.
good.
I thought he was going to be great.
But what did he do? He played with Matt Ryan when Matt Ryan was still good.
Right. And so, I mean, the track record for this organization, this group of talent evaluators is awful. It's just not good.
I think also you have to have the play caller. If you want your tight end to shine, you got to do other things than just sit him on button hooks or tell him to run 5-6 yard outs. He has to be a vocal part of your route tree. I watch some of
like
these,
Kelsey is.
Yeah, Kelsey runs make-believe routes.
Well, Kelsey's their number one receiver.
Yeah,
That's it. He's there.
So they gonna make sure that he gonna run everything possible to get him open on the mismatch. Other teams, they don't even put him really in positions to make plays. So if you got a guy and a quarterback, you have to have a playbook and a plan for him, not just some afterthought. And I think a lot of coaches, they just don't. They're like, okay, I'm going to get my running back involved. Hey, I got a receiver I got to get the ball to.
Right.
It's hard to get a tight end and a number one receiver and still keep some run pass.
Not when he's special, though. I mean,
Well,
the Niners, Ravens, and Chiefs always get – because those guys are special. I don't think David Njoku's special. I think he's good. I think he probably should be more productive than he is. But I never thought he was going to be in that class with those guys.
Do you think that he's a product of his look?
100%.
I mean, the guy walks into any room. I don't care if he's in street clothes, shorts, and a T-shirt, or a football uniform. Whatever room he walks into, he immediately becomes a topic of conversation. Right. Even in football circles, that guy walks in and he's like, this is Adonis.
Yeah.
This guy's been blessed.
100%.
Oh, and by the way, that body, he can propel it over a 7-foot-high high jump bar.
Right.
This guy should be breaking all records.
Well, you look at the numbers. Mike, can you put those numbers back up again?
His season stats?
The stats you just put up, I think that was the season stats. Like, for a tight end in a vacuum,
that's okay.
Those are pretty good numbers.
But not for a $14 million a year player.
If he was getting paid $8 million a year, love it.
I'm with you.
No problem.
And keep doing what you're doing.
But he's getting paid like the best tight ends, and he's not.
See, here's what
Couldn't agree more.
Here's what I'm upset about. Listen, David Njoku, man, stop bringing your wives around David Njoku. Like, because you don't look like him. Like David Njoku got body oil, he got baby oil all over his joint. He got midriff shirts and low. How you got low cut jeans, bro? I see your small of your back. That's not cool, David Njoku. Keep this man away from all the women. And I'm like, listen,
that's a good point.
Stay at home. You got to be out because you don't look like he got long hairs. He got one blonde, a little dread. Like he looked like a Street Fighter character. This dude.
He's a mythical Street Fighter character.
This dude right there, he goes in the club, you're out of here.
And he kind of has a superhero last name.
Yeah.
Like he's Njoku.
Smiling all pretty.
Couldn't that be like a superhero?
Look at that.
That's true.
Njoku.
Look, he's embracing it. My face is wet right now. I look good.
And you know what? You see things like he had a top 10 catch last year.
Right.
And then he had a drop that kept the team
Right.
from winning a game that they
He's
should have
done
won.
that his whole career. Now, I think
And
he's gotten
he's an
better.
enigma.
His hands have improved.
Yeah.
But he often makes the great catch and drops the easy one.
Yeah,
and that prevents him from getting to the next level. Hopefully that'll happen
Watch
this
him
year.
have 1,200 this year.
Now, I've never seen potential. Warren Sapp always said potential's another word for suck.
Potential gets you killed.
Now, here's the thing. I've never seen a player live off potential now into his 7th season.
Because he came into the league, I think he was
going
like
into
12.
I think it's
7,
6.
He
So,
was like
no,
19
he's had
or
6.
20.
Oh, it's 7?
So
Yeah,
here's
because he was drafted the year before Chubb, right?
yes. So here's what's
77.
amazing about
Oh,
that.
man.
In this league,
Yeah.
the not for long league, potential lasts for one contract.
Right.
And if it hasn't developed, unless you're a lineman, because a lot of times linemen will get that second look. I think we've got one right now that's
Sure.
getting one, benefit
Yeah.
of the doubt. But typically, at a skills position player,
No.
if you're not that guy, after he's a first-round draft pick, after your first contract, you kind of float around
It's
the league.
very rare.
And
Yeah.
here he is. And you know what? I even cleared the decks for him. I said, you know what? If he doesn't do it this year, I'm done with him.
Right.
But I've said that 5 times
I know.
before.
This
with
is
this
it.
guy.
This is it for me.
It
This
is for
the
me
last
too.
year.
Perform.
Has to be it.
Darren
It
Waller-
has to happen this
And
year.
by the way, the one position a skill position player I could think of that a team paid even though he had done nothing and it was a total disaster. I can't even think of his name. He was a wide receiver on the Rams. He was a really fast guy.
What year?
I remember when the Rams were on Hard Knocks with Jeff Fisher, they were all excited because they announced the extension on Hard Knocks.
Oh, you talk about Tavon Austin?
Tavon Austin.
Oh, yes.
Out of West
Remember
Virginia.
that?
He's
he did
another one.
nothing. They signed him to
But
an
he was a
extension.
burner, wasn't he? He was-
Burner.
That
That's
boy.
why.
Good
yeah.
return, decent return
Yeah.
guy, but he was as a wide receiver, he was nothing. They gave him a big extension, and he still did nothing.
I got a funny story. I was in a club with him in West Virginia randomly.
Really?
Yeah, randomly in Morgantown with Tavon Austin drinking these bottles at a random.
Like you were hanging with him?
He was there with some other dudes. I was partying with some dudes I hadn't known from West Virginia. You know, I go to all the party towns. Hey, listen, he was winning. He had everything.
No.
moving. He was
Who could've
winning.
You know what the
that.
key word in that phrase was?
Was.
He was winning. Right. Like, I don't know what you're doing right now, Taylor, but you was winning. You probably
He's probably still at a bar in West Virginia, but not Morgantown.
Yes, yeah. You're
No,
right.
that's right.
So
yeah,
what
now
about
he's
Tomlinson?
playing skee-ball with Johnny Manziel.
Oh, what a random reference. We should have a UCSS skee ball tournament.
That would be good.
I'm going to defer on Dalvin Tomlinson, and I'll tell you why. I haven't watched him.
I agree 100%.
I didn't.
How do we say he's overrated?
I don't know. Yeah, I can't say.
I mean, he probably got overpaid a little bit, but that's free agency. Everybody gets overpaid a
Well,
little
his
bit.
position,
Yeah.
I think, was a product of him getting overpaid
Yeah.
and the fact that the Browns were very thirsty.
Right.
I mean, they
Yeah.
were so thirsty at that position, they'd gone years without a drink. So they said, we've got to have a guy. He was a guy. The big names were already off the market. Yeah, wipe the dry corners of your mouth.
Wait, you don't really
Again,
touch it.
he's a good player that they played like a great player. We'll see if he plays like
Did
a
you
great player
read
this year.
the piece in the? I read the article and the piece specifically on him.
Yeah.
And when I read it, I said, okay, all of this does make sense.
Right.
But I can't make a judgment
No,
personally yet
I wanna
because I
see him
haven't
play
watched
here.
him like
Why
that.
why did they get Tomlinson like that?
They said money too?
Money.
Yeah.
They said that the Browns had a dire need at that position. The big needle movers were gone at that position. So it was kind of where need meets opportunity, and sometimes you have to overpay. But one of the stats that really was troubling to me was they talked about his win rate when he's in pass rush situations. It was way below average. And he was below average, I believe, in league double teams, which surprised me. I would think that a player of his caliber, defensive coordinators would look at him and say, okay, he's kind of going to be a focal point. But that has not been the case.
They had
He's
Danielle
been
Hunter.
doing what he's done so far off single teams.
They had Darius Smith and Danielle Hunter though.
That's true.
I'm doubling one of them. I ain't messing with.
Yeah, you're right.
Tomlinson.
You're right.
But I mean,
And he shouldn't see a lot of doubles here.
No.
you know,
I mean,
hey,
Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett's
Right.
going to eat those up.
And
sometimes.
Zadarius Smith.
Hey, look. Sometimes,
Not Zadarius Smith. Who else? Who did the Browns sign? Just
Tomlinson.
No, the other one.
the other, the defensive.
Obo. Yeah.
The other defensive end they just signed.
McGuire.
No.
Zadarius Smith.
Zadarius Smith? I was right the first time.
Yeah,
I said Zadarius Smith, and then I was doubting myself that I got it wrong.
I was like,
I was like the other guy. You already said.
My
Zadarius.
bad. Sorry. I said Zadarius Smith, and I was like, no, they didn't sign Zadarius Smith, but I was right the first time.
He's not going to get double teamed here. He shouldn't.
No.
I hope the article's wrong. I hope he's not the most overrated defensive lineman. It would really hurt his
Was it
team.
entire defensive line, not just defensive tackle?
Yeah, I think it was. I think they said defensive line.
Any other AFC North guys on the list, Mike?
Yes, there are.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go through this position by position because
I'm curious.
It's easy. Then we got Carlos Baerga already, so we'll bring him in one sec. But at running back, Joe Mixon and Najee Harris were the honorable mentions.
Yeah,
Deontay Johnson.
Joe's a little overpaid. I think the Bengals are going to cut his salary or cut him.
You've been saying that 2 years now.
I know. Well, he said that at the end of last season.
Right now, you've got Dalvin Cook, Zeke Elliott. These running backs are out of their minds. Saquon Barkley thinks nobody's paying you.
No.
You may think you deserve to get paid. No. The Vikings just said, nah, we'll go Alexander Madison.
Can you imagine, like, just take anybody, for example, the names that you mentioned, but hell,
Yeah.
we've got a guy in Hunt. He's on the market.
Nobody's interested
What's
right now.
crazy is, can you imagine Hunt looking at the $14 million that the Browns are paying Njoku for 4 years? He's got to be saying, wait a minute, what?
And by the
going
way,
to tell
of the
you this.
free agent, we're in June, almost July, and he's third on the free agent running back interest list. And if Mixon gets cut, he drops to fourth.
I told you, Bull, this is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
You know who all messed it up? The influencer himself. When OBJ got $15 million, everybody was like, you know what, damn it.
Right,
I'm getting 12. I'm worth 8.
The Ravens just
I'm
screwed
worth
everything.
6.
You could go back to Mel Kiper famously saying at the draft, if a team ever takes a running back in the first round, it's a massive mistake.
Yeah.
He was
and 2 were
way
taken
ahead of
this
the
year.
curve. Way ahead of the curve.
2 were taken this year, but it's very rare these days.
It is.
We
Okay,
got Carlos
Baerga is with us, right?
We do. The legend is now joining us via VMix. What's up, Carlos?
There he is.
What's up?
How you doing, guys? How's everything?
Hi, Carlos.
Carlos, love the jerseys hanging in the background. It's awesome look. Love it. You look fit as hell,
you.
bro. You look fit. What are you doing?
Yes. While I'm working out, I had to get surgery, and I'm gonna say something to you guys. What happened to me? Because the COVID hit everywhere. I gained weight almost. I went through from 230 to 318.
Wow.
My cholesterol was high, 310. My high blood pressure was at 188, and I was almost got a heart attack twice. And the doctor say, if you don't have surgery, you're gonna be dying pretty soon. And I said to my daughters and my boys, they say to me, Carlos, you need to do it. We need you. We miss you, and we don't want to miss you. I had 2 grandkids that I want to enjoy it, and I made that decision to do it. And that happened a year ago, and that was the best thing that happened in my life. I had the energy back. I got the cholesterol. The bypass, the surgery in my stomach.
Bypass, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so how
bypass.
much are you down?
Yes,
You look
yes.
incredibly thin.
Right now, I'm 92 pounds down.
Oh,
92
my
pounds
gosh.
down. I was 318. Right now, today, I am 228.
Wow.
228.
Man, how do you
full
feel?
of energy. I'm sleeping good. Full of energy. I'm sleeping good. And I enjoy it. And my friend, I can't even walk from the hotel, from my room down. Then I was like, I was out of breath, and I thank God that I did it. And everything is good. No more headaches, because the high blood pressure that I have, it was costing me a lot of headaches, stuff like that. So I feel really good and happy.
That's crazy.
I'm here in
Absolutely.
Cleveland, getting ready to see the Cleveland Guardians. They're playing really good right now.
We are. In fact, they've won. They've won 4 in a row. It's the longest winning streak of the year. They just swept the Oakland A's, which I know a lot of people are like, well, it's the A's. Well, they get paid too, and it wasn't long ago they had won, I think, 7 in a row or something. So they started to play better
outside of that
baseball.
week, they won about 5 games all year.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for them. But look, those are the teams that you're supposed to
You
win.
got to take care of business.
Carlos, you know as well as anyone that this thing is a marathon and not a sprint. You wake up, you look at the standings, they're a game out of first place, despite the fact that they haven't played great baseball. How do you see the rest of the season playing out for the Guards?
I think it's going to be really good. If people start realize what happened last year, you remember that we start playing really good in the second half.
Yes.
You know, that's what we need to do. That's what we're doing right now. We start almost the same. You know, last year I never thought that we were going to make the playoff, first of all. On the first half, we say, no, we don't have the team to do it. I think that, you know, the Minnesota and Chicago White Sox got they got the opportunity to do it. But our guys show up and did a great job. You know what? And we are playing really good, without McKenzie. McKenzie's been out almost the whole year. Sivali just came back doing really good. Bieber. He's been the man in there. But I think the two rookies, Allen and Bieber, those two guys are doing a great job. And we just called up 2 days ago our best prospect pitching, Williams.
Right.
So, you know, we showing everybody that we don't have to go outside to get anybody. Maybe at the trade line, Gavin Williams, that's the guy that they started the other day. Yeah. But I think if we bring maybe one more hitter, we are going to be okay. Because I think our offense sometimes go away a little bit. And then when you have the closer, Classes pitching like Classes. Now he's on, you know, he's saving the game. And I believe that we have the team, you know, to compete in our division and go there and go back again to the playoff.
Is this Carlos? And by the way, I played with Carlos. I was mentioning before, I played with Carlos at a charity softball game at the Lake Erie Crushers Field. I don't know if you remember, but he was so nice. He signed autographs for all the kids. I got an autograph for my son. I got an autograph for my friend's son. You couldn't have been nicer. You were the nicest guy there. All the guys were nice, but Carlos was above and beyond the nicest guy there. It was so incredible. He was so kind to everybody. It was so fun doing that. By the way, in that game, I don't know if you remember, Travis Hafner was playing on the – I don't remember. Travis Hafner, you and I were on the same team. Travis Hafner came up. I was playing first base for our team. Travis Hafner came up. I'm like, that's a major league hitter. I stood back on the outfield. But, of course, he hit it out to right field. But anyway, Carlos.
He hit a homer.
Yeah, he's a monster. But in terms of the Guardians, I agree with a lot of what you say. I think they need at least one hitter, though. I mean, you're getting –
Yes.
First of all, you played on teams that had power hitters in the 8 and 9 spots in the lineup. This team has no power. Did you know that in 2001, Barry Bonds, at the same point this year, had about 7 less home runs than the entire Guardians roster has this season? I don't think I've ever seen such a poor hitting power team. They need to go get a power bat. I know it's not easy, but they've got to find a way to get somebody in the corners or DH, whatever. They got to get some more power. Don't you think?
Well, now we have Naylor's doing really good. I think Brendan is getting better. He's showing everybody that he have, you know, that he belongs here in the big leagues. But I think we need to have one more guy coming from the bench, at least helping us out, you know, from the right side, because we got the left side really good. You know, when you have Ramirez doing, you know, what Ramirez doing, Naylor having a great year. He's been the man this year. I think Naylor's been the man. He's been the clutch guy in our team. He's been there, and now he's happy. He has his brother with him now.
Yes.
You see the way he looked the other day when he got the base hit to, you know, to bring the game winning. That was something special. But I think, you know, we need to have that guy. They show up in there. I think we have it because Oscar Gonzalez. He starts slow in AAA. Now he have like 6 or 7 homers. He got like 35 RBIs or something like that. I think that can be the guy that can come up and, you know, against the lefty he can hit. You know, he can go to the lineup to help us out. But I think big key is one more hitter, but our relievers, if they do the job, we are going to be okay. You know, I think we are going to be great. This is the division right now. Minnesota, one game. I don't think Minnesota's playing really good right now. Yeah. They're playing awful. You know, they got 10 strikeouts every game. You cannot win like that. Detroit, look at Detroit. Detroit is in 3rd place. Chicago, that was supposed to be the team that, you know, they fight with us, stuff like that. I think we have the opportunity to go to the playoff. We're playing the right way, the way we have to do. We need to do the little things. That's what Terry Francona says. We are not a power hitter, but if we run the bases right, we do a hit and run, stuff like that, we're going to win the game. And another thing that we have to do, catch the ball. If we play good defense and good pitching, you bring a winner.
You know, Carlos, you talked about, you know, the 3 pitchers, you know, Allen, Bobby, and Williams. There's been talk about Bieber, right? You said, you know, they look like they got everything they need except for one bat. Do you believe, even though McKenzie looks like he's going to be out for another couple months and Bieber, it looks like he may be on the trade block, do you believe that even with those 2 guys, you still have enough. And if they do move Bieber, will it be for a bat today?
You know what? I don't do it before. At the beginning of the season, I was thinking about it because we wasn't doing the same thing that we did last year. But I think now that we are one game back, you cannot let go of Bieber. He's the man. He's the captain of the pitching staff. Whatever he do, the young guys going to follow that. So I think he's very important in our organization. And I need to keep going with him the whole way. We cannot let him go because remember, we don't have McKenzie. When you don't have McKenzie, showing these kids, how to prepare, how to get ready, stuff like that. You need to have Bieber. This guy, is a Cy Young guy, triple crown. He know what he's doing. He come to the ballpark early. He work out. He showed this kid, how to prepare for the game. You cannot be without him. You cannot win without him. And I think it's going to be the best thing that's going to happen. I hope, that we keep him, that he stay with us, and we can go all the way, and we can go back to the playoffs. And this year, I don't know if it's going to be the Yankees, whoever it is, we got to go to the World Series. I hope that happens and show everybody that we can do it.
I think overall it's an exciting time in baseball. Almost every team is in the mix. Both Central divisions are pretty bad. The AL Central may be the worst division I've ever seen in my life through the halfway point of the season. It's horrible. But there's a lot of interesting contending teams. Like Arizona's good this year for the first time. The Marlins with no payroll. Really Baltimore, who started to turn the corner last year, they've been excellent. You see it all. San Francisco's had won 9 in a row. Cincinnati 11 in a row. You've got some interesting teams right now.
I know. Cincinnati's
it's a fun year.
You know what? I say at the beginning of the season, I say to everybody, this is going to be a crazy year. You're going to see things that never, in the last 10 years haven't been closer, to even the third place, showing up and showing everybody the talent, the young talent that they have. And this is why, I think we start everything. I think everybody copied the Cleveland Guardians.
That's right.
What we did last year, bringing up 22 players, young players, to the big leagues. I think everybody copied that and say, you know what, we're going to follow that. We're gonna believe in the young players, and as Cincinnati's doing it, Arizona's doing it. The Pirates, the Pirates in third place right now.
Right.
Nobody picked the Tigers. The Pirates.
Texas
because Texas spent some money, but they spend some money. They spend some money there. The shortstop, DeGrom. Yeah.
I'm curious, Carlos. You were a great hitter when you played, obviously. Luis Ariz, he had been on the Twins for many years. They trade him to Miami. I don't know what his batting average is of this morning. I think it was 398 going into yesterday.
398.
I am rooting for this guy to hit 400. I want it to happen so bad. He is like 60 points ahead of anybody else. This kid's amazing.
He is amazing. I want you to check in the minor leagues. He hit 326 in the minor league. Never under 300, always bring over 300, and since the first day that he stepped up in the big leagues, he's been hitting 300 everywhere. He's a special guy, but I don't think it's gonna happen to hit 400. It's so hard. The last one was 82 years ago and was Ted Williams. The last one. And we have
400.
George Brett. And we got George Brett. We got Tony Wynn. We had Wade Bucks. We got Ichiro. They had 10 years in a row over 200 hits. And the best year, 262 hits. So it's going to be hard. To do it.
Larry Walker came in.
I think Brett was the closest. Brett hit 388 one year.
Well, wasn't Gwynn over 390, but that was the strike season.
Yeah, but I'm saying for a full season, at the end of the year, George Brett, I think, is the closest to come to 400.
Rod Carew also came close one year.
Rod had a couple of big years. But you know what? The game has changed, Carlos.
Now it's even harder.
It's such a swing and miss game now, too, where back in the day there was a real priority on putting the bat on the ball and making contact. What do you think of the shift from the all or nothing approach? You go up there, try to hit a home run. If you strike out, so what?
I don't like it because you know why I don't like it? I was a guy that I have power. But I consider myself a land right hitter. I hit 20, 22 homers. At the beginning, a second baseman don't hit those kind of numbers. That's why, I was a special guy. When I started doing that in the American League, everybody said, wow, we have a power guy. No. I'm a land right hitter, and I want to consider myself always as a contact hitter. But you know what? Something that is missing in the game they love strikeout. I don't like strikeout.
I hate
if you
them.
put the ball in play, something can happen. And that's why the other day, there was an interview on MLB Network, and they was talking about, do you want to have a guy that win the batting champion, or you want to have a guy that have on-base percentage? And I say, that's a wrong question. Because if the guy win the batting champion, that means he's going to be the guy that most of the time he's going to be on base. So
that's right. You get one with both.
That question was, I know. So you have it. You have everything in there. So I love the guy that hit 280, but give me 30 homers and give me 100 RBIs. That's the guy that I want in my team. You know who's that guy? Jose Ramirez. That's Jose Ramirez.
Yeah,
a
you're
guy
absolutely
that
right.
every year put the numbers in there and always show up at the last day of the season. Always got 100 RBIs. Always has over 20, 25, 30 home runs or something like that. That's a player that I love. That's a superstar for me. So I think, what Luis Arraez is showing everybody is those kind of players are very important. You know who we used to have that. We used to have Kenny Lobstrom, Omar Vizquel. That's why I got 100 RBIs almost every year. Because I got those two guys, and the thing is, the stolen base is coming back this year.
Oh, yeah,
now
with the
you
new
can steal
bases.
bases,
Yeah, the kid on
It's being
Oakland's got
special.
over 40 steals already.
No, I thought he was at 50 already.
I don't think he's at 50.
Yeah.
So
I thought he
we'll
had
double
50.
check it.
He's getting closer.
Yeah.
By the way, you know what that reminds me of? I got to make sure I'm right about this stat.
39.
Carlos, you may remember this. Jay, I'll ask you
39.
this question too.
39 steals. Okay.
39. Who's the last?
39,
I think he's the last player. I know he did it. But who is a player played in the 90s and the 80s who had 100 ribbies but did not hit 10 home runs?
Oh, my God.
I'll give you the exact year he did it.
Did he play for the Cardinals?
What year?
Tommy Herr.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Tommy
I remember
Herr.
that.
Remember Tommy
Tommy
Herr?
Herr? Wow.
Tommy Herr.
In
Wow,
19,
wow,
what year
wow.
was it?
That's-
In 19,
I'd say it
Well,
was either
I got-
the early 90s or late.
it was 85.
Yeah, okay.
He had 8 home runs
confuse-
and 110 ribbies. 8 and 110.
I love that. Well, in 1995, that I got hurt the last part of the season, I finished, I think, with 15 homers, 90 RBIs. Those are, guys that bring RBIs. That's very important for me.
That's right.
And we need to show this to our young players.
Yeah.
Don't let that guy in third base. Don't let that guy in second base. Don't strike out. Put the ball in play. If you put the ball in play, something can happen. But if you strike out, what is all about? Last
I
year,
love the
we had
stolen
the
bases
best.
this year. I think it's fun.
Look at the difference of this team that we have this year or last year. Last year we lead the league in contact, putting the ball in play.
Yes.
This year we strike out a lot at the beginning. Now we're changing a little bit. Now we're making contact. That's why we are winning more games right now, because we are making more contact. And I think we're gonna be okay. I think Jimenez is gonna have a big second half. Rosario start hitting. Ramirez is hitting right now too. So we got Naylor, we got Brennan. They're doing a great job. We need to get Maestral, to keep making a little bit more contact. And Quan is going to be the man. If Quan get on base, the other guy's going to get RBI. So we're going to be really good. And I think that, maybe, you know what? Do you guys think that we should bring a catcher or not? Or we stay with the catchers that we have?
Well,
I want to give Bo Naylor a real shot.
I do too, because Carlos, we tried that. We went out and we thought we answered that question with Zunino, and that was an epic fail. And at some point in time,
very
Bo
bad.
Naylor
I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
I am too. I think let's give him the reins to the team. I like his maturity.
Good.
I clearly like his bloodline. I mean, his brothers are, he comes from a baseball family. And I know he was struggling to get that first hit, but you know how this goes, Carlos. A lot of times when rookies get called up and they struggle and they're, now they're 0 for 20 or 0 for 22, a lot of times that first hit opens the floodgates. And I think that's going to – Bo Naylor's a professional hitter.
Yeah.
He's hit at every level, and I think he'll hit here.
And he know the pitching stuff. He know the pitching stuff, too, because he come from the minor league. He got these guys. So I believe that's a good move for our organization. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We are going back to the playoff, but I want the fans to come to the ballpark. Yeah. We have 3 games this weekend against Milwaukee, a team that's fighting for first and second place, in the Central League. So we need to come up and help this guy, please.
Yes, turn out to the ballpark.
Yeah, I want to see. I know you like him. I want to see. I think at the end of the season, they need to move on from Miles Straw, move Quan to center field, and go get a power-hitting corner outfielder.
Well, we could use more power.
I mean, I can't. if I could live with Straw as my center fielder if I got a great lineup. I can't when my lineup is not great and doesn't have any power. That's how I see it.
Yeah, you need some production from the
Yeah.
outfield. Maybe, Carlos, before we let you go, and I know this might be tough for you, I'll give you my favorite Carlos Baerga memory. And I know you had some big ones in playoff games, but I love the fact that you homered from both sides of the plate in the same inning. That's something it's unbelievable. But I'm wondering, what is your snapshot memory, your snapshot moment from your incredible big league career? And you played in some huge games with this organization. What is your moment?
Well, I had a couple, because that one is a big one. That was the first one that I realized, wow, I have that kind of I have that kind of career, to start, my big league career, stuff like that. That was something special, to put that record, the 2 homers in the same inning. The second one was to get 100 RBIs, 100 runs, 20 homers, 200 hits. I hit 300. I did it 2 years in a row.
Wow.
I still the only one in the American League to do it. I still doing that. Still the only one, the only second baseman. And the first, there's 2 more. The one of them was making the All-Star game. My first All-Star game was special for me. It was something that I'm never going to forget about. Show up in that clubhouse and see Roger Clemens, Wade Bucks, Cal Ripken, all my idols.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a young kid, when I signed that was my idol. I want to be like this guy. I want to be like this guy. And I was in the same clubhouse. I look up to the sky and I say, wow, this is real. That was something special. And the last one that I really like was when I went 3 for 3, that I hit a homer against Randy Johnson in the playoffs, that we went to the World Series. That was something that I'm never going to forget about. That's something very special, very nice.
Real quick, Carlos, I've got to get your opinion before you go. Last thing. Have you heard the story about what's going on with Wander Franco in Tampa Bay?
Yes, I heard that yesterday. I don't like it.
You don't
I don't like it because I don't like what the manager did. Because I manage in the league in Puerto Rico. I'm a coach for the national team, baseball class and stuff like that. Yeah. And always, I always say to the players, you know what? I'm gonna give you respect. I want the same respect for me. I'm never gonna show you up in front of the cameras, in front of the press or anything like that. Everything. That's why I like Tito Francona. Tito always fight for his players, and he never let anybody know what happened in the clubhouse. So that's why I don't like what Catch did. You know what happened 2 years ago when Tony La Rosa show and I don't know, the name was Jermaine Mercedes, that he said something about him that happened with him, and that's why he wasn't going to say. What happened with that team? Everybody went down. What happened to the Cardinals this year? Paul O'Neill, something happened that he don't score from second base. The manager went up and on camera and say he don't run the bases hard. I'm gonna see him down and stuff like that. You don't do that. You talk to him, inside the clubhouse, and then you show up. What happened with the Cardinals right now? They're in last place.
Yep.
They have a problem inside the clubhouse.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second, because I obviously really respect your opinion, and I respect Cash, too. And you say that Tito is a player's manager, and I think Cash is a lot like Tito. Obviously, he's a Tito disciple. But how do we know?
That's why he surprised me. That's why he surprised me, because
how do we know, Carlos, that Cash didn't try that with Franco once or twice or 3 times, and maybe he's just now at the last resort where he's saying, I've got to do something to get this kid's attention because what I've done hasn't been working so far? That seems to be a possibility, at least, right?
Well, everybody, that's nobody. I haven't heard anything about Wander Franco in his first 3 years of his career. I never have heard anything. I know him. I know his father.
Wow.
I know his family, where he's coming from. So he's a good kid. I haven't heard anything.
Wow.
Anything, and I have to say something that I always say to I work for the Cleveland Guardians, and I go down to the minor leagues, and when I go down to spring training, stuff like that, things that I say to the players is be careful, outside the field, inside the field, respect. You have a responsibility with that name of the Cleveland Guardians. So you know what? You have to have you have to know what you do. It can cost you your career. It can cost you. It's so many things that can happen.
Yeah.
And I never heard anything bad about this kid. So
That's interesting.
maybe you're saying something that that we can look out. I'm gonna ask. Maybe next time that I come back here, I'm gonna let you guys know.
That's awesome. And
Thanks,
listen,
Carlos.
you know him. You're speaking from a point
Great
of
player.
knowledge.
Great player.
He's a wonderful player.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Carlos, like you, I'm fascinated now to see
Yeah.
how the dynamic changes of the Rays, because I don't know. Typically, when this happens, there are teammates that
Yeah.
are unhappy. The
Yeah.
language that caught my
Yeah.
attention was he hasn't been a good teammate. So I'm wondering, was there a fracturing of the clubhouse
Yeah.
where some of the players were coming and saying something to Cash, where Cash felt he had to do this?
Wow.
I don't know.
That's
I'll
why
be curious
we
to
need
see the fallout.
We need to check.
Yeah.
We need
But
to
you know
check.
what?
Yeah, we need to check that out. Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll look at the win-loss
Right.
column, and if this team starts to fall apart, then
Yes.
that might be the reason why. You
Well,
know,
their best pitcher also just got hurt
Yeah,
last
that
night,
doesn't
so,
help them. Yeah. Hey, Carlos, we love you,
Yeah.
man.
You're the
best,
awesome.
Carlos.
We're thrilled
Take care.
that you're,
God bless
that you're
you guys.
healthy.
All the best.
Yes, you look
Yes,
great. Keep
yes.
going, buddy, and
doing your
we'll
thing.
see you at the World Series,
Thanks,
man.
Carlos. We'll see you again
Thank
soon.
you. I see you guys tonight in the ballpark. Okay.
At
Let's
the
go.
ballpark.
Very good.
Let's go.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Carlos.
Carlos.
Okay.
Carlos makes a
Okay.
good
He's
point
great. He's
about
awesome.
about the attendance. The fans got to get out this weekend. This is a big series.
Yeah.
They've been
And
doing pretty good
they-
as far as
they
This
have-
has been better.
They've been better. We can be even better. I know what this
Yeah.
town is capable of.
By the way, Jay, I
You
feel
know?
like I need to talk to you about the fact that, because I haven't talked to you in person since I went with I took my Little League team to that Friday night 14 inning game.
I followed it on your text
right,
chat
Yeah.
that night. That's the game of the year.
I mean, these kids, the experience they got, and I brought the whole team in this week. They were all here.
I
one
heard
day.
that. I'm sorry I wasn't here.
But the experience they got, those kids, they still talking about that game.
And they'll remember that
Yeah.
game when they're 50.
Forever.
They'll never forget it. And the beauty of it, and I
Yeah.
love that you kept them there, and they all wanted to stay.
Everyone.
Nobody left.
They were starting chants that adults in the sections over were picking up and using.
Unbelievable.
It was
And you know what
amazing.
happens, Bull?
Yeah.
This is why I love when kids go to the ballpark for the first time.
Yes.
You never know what's going to happen
Never
on
know.
any given night. They saw something that's never been done in the history of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
The Guardians came from behind five
times.
separate times
Amazing.
after the seventh inning and won the game. All the fans that were there for the first time and didn't leave
Yeah.
are hooked for life.
Yes.
It was a life-changing event.
Those kids had such a ball. We even stayed for the fireworks.
And I bet
after.
they're going to want to go again.
Of course.
Oh, what time did you get out of there after the
I
fireworks
think we
show?
left. We got to the ballpark. We met in front of the ballpark at, what was it, a 7 o'clock game, I think?
I think it was.
And I think we met there at 6:30, and we walked out of the park, I want to say 11:30.
Wow.
And not a single kid was like,
And they got their
"Oh,
money's
my
worth.
God.
14
Oh, my
innings
God.
of unprecedented baseball.
Unreal.
And then the fireworks show to boot.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the city, and I would like to see them get behind that. It would be a great initiative to have all of the Little League teams, right? It's from Rocky River or Avon or Euclid,
Parma,
or
Strongsville,
and
all
they
these
do
little
that. all
leagues.
kids day, and you get this picture where you get them out on the field, you take the picture.
Yeah.
It's
It's about cultivating lifelong
Absolutely.
fans.
Everybody wearing their own jerseys and hats. It's Jersey Day, so you can come in uniform, watch a game, be able to get cheap concessions, and what that does, it introduces the game to new generations. You got to put them there.
And it indoctrinates them. They're
Yeah.
fans for life.
I had
Bull.
4 when the season started. I asked all my kids, "How do you watch baseball a lot? Raise your hand if you watch baseball a lot." 3 kids raised their hand.
Wow.
I guarantee you, because they tell me about it when they watch it now, I guarantee you it's like 8 out of 11 now.
Yeah, and it's
You know?
amazing what an
Yeah.
in-stadium experience can
Oh.
do. Now, look, you can also go for the first time and they
Yeah.
get shut out 9-0.
Sure.
And that
but
sucks.
you never know.
But you get them there.
I went once. I was an adult, and it was against my team. I don't know if I've told you this, but I went to Wrigley Field. I don't even remember. It must have been 20. It might have been the year the Cubs won the World Series, but I don't remember for sure now. And Cole Hamels for the Phillies pitched a no-hitter against the Cubs.
Wow.
And I was kind of torn because I was like, it's cool seeing a no-hitter, but it's against my team.
Yeah. I've always decided that.
Yeah.
It's only happened to me once where a
Right.
pitcher's taken it into the 7th inning.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for history. I want to see.
I mean, it
history.
was cool.
I mean,
I have to
especially if
admit.
it's 7-0. If it's 1-0.
It was a close game.
And your team is one swing away from tying it up,
Yeah.
then no, I'm not rooting for the no-hitter.
Yeah.
But I remember watching the Tigers Was it Galarraga?
When he lost the perfect game on the bad call.
On a bad call.
Yeah.
I was rooting for him to get the perfect game.
Yeah,
I wanted to see history.
Yeah,
and I felt terrible for, was it Drew Joyce?
Jim Joyce.
Jim Joyce.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who was
my
a great umpire.
God. He was a great
I
umpire.
thought you was going to say Jim Jordan.
He cried in the post-game news conference afterwards.
That was pre-replay, unfortunately.
Yes, it was.
Otherwise it would have been overturned.
But, I think it was Pudge who was playing first base, and his reaction was everybody's. I was watching it with my son, and we were both like, oh, my God, how did he call him safe?
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close.
No, it was
and
crazy.
He called him safe
it was
in
crazy,
the perfect game.
Yeah.
And that was the highlight of his career, obviously, Galarraga.
I do think in the end the Guardians are going to trade Shane Bieber.
You do?
I think they're going to. I think in the grand scheme of things, we've been saying this for a couple days. The Guardians are in a very weird spot. This division I don't remember a division ever being this bad at the midway point in the season. I mean, the Twins are a 500 team, and
I don't either.
The White Sox are like 15 games under, and they're only like 5 games out.
Yeah, they're 12 under and 6 out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like crazy.
I don't understand.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I know you're advocating for a trade. But let me
I'm
ask
not
you
necessarily
this.
advocating
You're okay
for
with
it.
the trade.
I'm okay with it.
I
think
Carlos.
it makes sense.
I'm with Carlos. You do not trade him under any circumstances, and there are many reasons, but I'll give you my main reason. I asked a buddy of mine the other day who's for trading him. I said, he goes, yeah, we're 6 under 500. I go, look, you're looking at the wrong number.
Yeah.
What if the Twins were 50 and 22, and we're 50 and 24?
Right. But that was
we're in the same exact spot.
I hear you, Jay. But a couple of years ago, and I know he's not as good as Bauer, but not as good as Bieber, but he was really good at the time. When they traded Bauer, they had a much better record than they have now.
I
were in
understand
first
that,
place.
but they
now,
also had Bieber on the staff.
I hear you.
Trade Bieber, and what's your staff? A bunch of young arms.
Yes, and it's risky, but they're going to have to win with those young arms anyway.
They are, but with Bieber in a 7 game, you got a Cy Young on the bump for 2.
Right. But
if McKenzie gets well, now you've got Cy Young caliber arms for 4.
Yeah.
That gives you a chance to win any series.
I think in the end, though, listen, I don't like it. I don't like the Guardians don't spend enough money. I get pissed about it all the time.
I'm not advocating they sign him long term. I'm not.
He wasn't pitching great, and he's been up and down this year.
He has.
He's still good, but he hasn't pitched at an elite level.
But that makes my point even more.
Yeah.
Look what they did with, and I know that it's a little different comparison, but they're very similar players if you look at their careers. When they got rid of Frankie, the talk was the same thing we're having, the same conversations. Yeah. They waited until the off season, and then right before the season started, they made the move. I don't think anybody can say that trade was anything but a home run. Even with Jimenez taking a step back this year and Rosario taking a step back this year.
Right.
Look at what Frankie's doing.
No, it was a good trade.
I mean,
He's not having
won
a good year.
that trade 100 times out of 100.
I think but that was a weird season because it was the COVID year that they didn't trade him midseason. They might have if it was a different season.
Understandable.
And let me make it very clear. If they trade Shane Bieber for prospects only, I'm going to be pissed off about that.
They
cannot do that.
No, they need a bat now.
But I think in the long run, in the short run, it could hurt them pitching-wise. It might end up costing them in the playoffs. In the long run, and maybe even in the short run, if you trade Bieber for a hitter and more that can help the team, I believe enough in Gavin Williams, Bybee, and Allen that I think, even though it's risky because they're very young, and you, in theory, because we don't even know if McKenzie's coming back. Let's be honest.
I'm not counting on it.
We have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not counting on it.
If you trade Bieber, it might be Bybee, Williams, and Allen pitching the first 3 games of the playoffs, which is insane.
Well,
but they're really
their
talented.
Their season's over if they trade.
I don't think it is. If they were in another division, it would be over. In this division, it's not.
Here's the thing with Allen, Bybee, and Williams, and I'm buy on all of them. I love them.
Yes, they're going to all be good.
However, all 3, even Williams, short body of work, he pitched 6 innings. When he got in trouble in the 3rd inning the other night after having a hitless first and second, he looked like a spotlit deer. Now, I love the fact that he dug out of his hole.
That's right.
He gave up the 4-run homer, and after that he had an 8-pitch inning. I think he had a 5-pitch inning. He really settled in.
Yeah.
He didn't give up a hit. Then he walked him, and Tito said that's a sign of exhaustion because I think it was a 3-1 count. He walked him. He came and got him. I love that he got out of it, but we've seen from Bybee and Allen, they can look phenomenal
Sure.
And they can look average.
Sure, but to some degree, Bieber's been that way too this year. He has. I mean, he's had some really bad starts that have been.
He's had 2 bad starts.
He hasn't had many dominant games where he's struck like he's
only
not
had one,
striking
really.
out guys, a ton of guys.
One double-digit strikeout
right,
game,
and that was
2 starts ago.
Yeah, and then last start he was lousy.
I know.
So it's been weird. Again, it depends what they get back. It's so frustrating because if they had just a little bit of a higher payroll, they gotta keep shopping in the bargain bin.
You know what set them back was the Zanino signing.
That was a mess.
And the Bell signing. We
Bell's
haven't
a
talked about
disaster.
Bell.
And
Bell
by the way,
is an abject disaster. Dumpster
and
fire.
we liked it. We thought it was a good move.
I
thought
loved
it was a good move.
But John, let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
because you watched him a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
He spent his time in the National League. Has he always swung
Yes. He
like
always
he's
looks
got
ugly.
handcuffs on?
He always looks ugly, but it worked for him.
What happened?
I don't
know.
I very rarely see extension. He's not like
Even his home run the other night, he looked like a
It
gate.
looks so weird. His swing, he's awkward at the plate. He's awkward in the field. I don't know, but they
His
have
bat speed's terrible too.
It's awful. And,
The other
and
night,
they may have to, if they trade Bieber, they would be smart to say to another team, even if you get, like, say you're trading Bieber and you're going to get a proven hitter and then 2 minor leaguers or whatever, in theory.
You might take one.
Give me just 1 minor leaguer. You take Josh Bell off my hands.
Yeah,
No,
take
he
that
won't
contract.
take that contract because he's got an
Well,
option for next year.
if it's a big money team, they might do it.
Maybe.
It's only
Maybe.
1 year that they'd have to
Bull,
eat it.
he looks.
It's a disaster.
He doesn't look like a major league hitter.
No, he doesn't.
The other
He's
night,
horrible.
I was stunned by this. He had an 0-2 count. This was after he struck out his first 2 at-bats and looked terrible. Chasing pitches, guessing on pitches.
Yes.
He had an 0-2 count, and the pitcher challenged him with a fastball in the heart.
I know. It's so frustrating.
And I think the reason he challenged him is because the book on him is his bat speed is gone. And even though he got a base hit in that at-bat, he didn't even pull the ball.
No.
He went to the opposite field.
It's not good. Like, at this point, all right, you got Ramirez and Naylor. Ramirez is what he is. Naylor's been great. I still don't love him against tough lefties, but he's been
better.
excellent. He's been excellent, and he's improved against lefties. Especially, like, I don't mind him playing against the sloppy lefties. I'm still keeping him out against the elite lefties.
In a playoff game against a top lefty, he can't be in the lineup, and that hurts your team.
No, and that hurts you. I agree with either you said it or Baerga said it. Jimenez is going to be fine. Is he the player he was last year? I don't think he's going to consistently be that good, but he's way better than he's playing right now.
And Rosario is also showing major signs of coming out.
However, I want to see the young guys play because Rosario's gone at the end of the year. He has been better. I want Naylor to get the rest of this year and all of next year.
I do too.
He's the catcher. Don't mess around.
I agree with that.
But in the outfield, I've got to do something there. First of all, I got to replace Bell, but probably going to have to wait a year. But in the outfield, I can't keep running out 3 guys that have 0 power.
No.
And Miles Straw, as good as he is defensively, he can't hit.
Brennan has shown signs of being.
There's signs, but Kwan's got no power. Like, they get no power from
Kwan
center,
and-
nothing from left.
I know.
Little from right. Right has potential, but little.
You can have one of those guys. You can't have 2.
Shortstop, no power. Like, we can't have that. We got to have, and it's got to be at the corner outfielders. That's where it's easiest to get the power. And so next year, I know you paid Straw, but it's not a ton of money. I think you got to make Straw your 4th outfielder. You move Kwan to center field and go get a left
Straw
fielder
would
that
be
can
great, and this is funny because he had a run in New York.
Yeah.
He'd be great with the Yankees.
He's got to be in a
Gets
lineup
on
with
base,
a bunch of
He steals bases. He plays great defense, but he's got to be surrounded by guys that are going to knock him home.
Toronto is another spot.
Toronto's another place.
He can start. He's got to start on a team. I think he's a 4th outfielder, but he can be a good starter on a team that has a loaded lineup. They don't.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the Yankees. Imagine you put a guy like that in after the 7th inning for defensive purposes in a playoff.
Right,
game.
exactly.
Like you want to shorten the field.
But you can't, I can't have him in the lineup when I have 4 of the guys who have no power.
I know it's
he's batting 230. He's been a little better lately.
You said all of that. You said you just went down the line of scrimmage. Like, oh, this.
Yeah, they can't fix all those holes in 1 year.
But you can't develop one guy? You ain't develop no power, right?
I mean, they have developed Naylor. They did develop Ramirez. I mean, that's been a while now.
Yeah.
And they are continuing to develop Jimenez. I know he's not originally played for the Mets, but he played his best baseball here last year. Was his best season.
I'm looking for corner outfielders.
Well, I mean, so far it hasn't panned out. They've had. Think about how many outfielders they've brought up.
We thought it was Mercado. Then we thought it was Oscar Gonzalez.
Right.
Like
Before that, Tyler Naquin.
Yeah. Bradley Zimmer.
Yes. Clint Frazier.
We thought all these guys that were like, oh.
Meanwhile, Nolan Jones is killing it in Colorado. The only thing frustrating, I mentioned the Jake Bowers thing. Now, I think Jake Bowers sucks. That's an anomaly.
Right.
But Nolan Jones was a top prospect that they never really gave a chance to.
I know. I was stunned on how quickly they moved on from him.
They traded him. They didn't cut him, but they essentially cut him. They got nothing for him.
He never. I heard about it. That's the frustrating part. You hear about these guys.
I was talking about him for years. I was like, give this guy a chance.
Jones, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, he's. I'm like, well, now why was we waiting?
In fairness, it is not that big a sample size. No. It's in Colorado, and they have no pressure because they stink. Whatever. So maybe he wouldn't have done it here. But
hard to say.
It's frustrating that they ended up having to give him away because they have this glut of prospects. And they haven't made that. We've been talking for 3 years. When is that trade coming where they break up this glut to get a proven hitter?
Yeah.
And it just hasn't happened.
They have too many guys in the pipeline.
Yes.
And it's impossible
It sounds
to predict.
crazy to say that.
I know, but it is.
But it is.
And that's why they got nothing for Jones, because they had this glut of talent.
And Will Benson, they got nothing for him either.
One. How's he doing, though?
He's doing okay. He stunk when he first came. He made the team out of spring training.
And I remember his early stats were terrible.
He was
awful.
awful.
I felt okay about it then.
Right, and then he went down to the minors, and since he's come back, he's played better. Not Nolan Jones better, but he's been solid. He's been solid.
But McNuggets, do you want to do quickly this loyalty in sports question? I know
we're
going to
save that for next week.
Because I love that topic. It's a great topic.
I think we're on together Monday as well.
Are you here Monday?
I think I am on Monday.
I think so, yes.
Wow, nice.
We'll get back to that. Let's start.
Because that's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Is there loyalty in sports? And we'll do that Monday.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that next week. I don't want to squeeze it in 5 minutes. So let's start with the viewer question or two.
All right.
And we'll do the rest in overtime.
Nice.
We got a bunch of. We got over 20 since the post goes up this morning. And as you guys know, members of UCSS get a chance on Fridays to ask questions. We answer them in overtime, but we got a few minutes, so let's get a couple out here. We'll do one real quick. This is a one-word answer for all three of you guys. It's a sports one, so we'll keep it quick. But this is from Carlos Plaza. Between the Browns' offense, defense, and special teams, which unit do you think shows the biggest improvement from last year to this year?
The biggest improvement, not which one's the best.
Exactly, biggest improvement.
Special teams.
Defense.
I got to be one of those two because the offense wasn't bad last year. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I guess it could be the offense, too. I mean, the offense could be sensational this year.
Isn't that a good thing?
That's good.
All three
you can consider all three.
Because you know what? You can make a case that all three will be dramatically better from last year. If they work that out, you got a playoff.
I'm going to go. I think it's a tough call. I really do.
It's tough, too. I almost went defense.
I'm going to go defense in the end.
Okay.
But I think you could say any of the three. I was initially just going between defense and special teams, but I'm like, I think the offense could end up being great this year.
Yeah, they signed a lot of special teams players, and that's something
I like that. They haven't done that.
They've never done that, and I like that they're all in on special teams. It's 1/3 of the game.
And their special teams coach, and I say this with love, and he's a lunatic, like in a good way.
Yeah,
like you need, like I think your special teams guy got to be a little crazy because he was a special teams ace. And I think he's gonna coach them up really well. I'm excited about that. I do too.
Maybe we'll do a larger segment on that exact topic next week where we prepare a little more on
I think
why
it's worth
we
it.
think.
I think it's worth it.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I do.
It was such a good question from Carlos Plaza. We're gonna ask another one of Carlos.
What's
this
his
is
name?
not
Carlos
sports.
Plaza?
Carlos Plaza 88. It was a great first question.
That's an
I like
awesome
this
name.
next one too.
It is.
Do you guys know the show Hot Ones?
That name sounds familiar.
Where they eat hot wings and they get
the
spicier
guys from the
spicier.
Practical Jokers are on there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sean Evans, I believe, is the host. It's pretty good.
Oh.
It's actually very good, very entertaining. They eat hotter wings as it goes. He says, would you guys ever consider doing your own version of Hot Ones just for enjoyment of the fans' amusement?
A couple years ago on Channel 3, I had a wing eating contest with Brandon Simmons, one of our reporters, and we ate from what's it, Quick Lube or whatever?
Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube. It's the weirdest name for a restaurant of all time. Sounds like they should get my oil change there.
And their places look like an oil change.
They do look like
oil change places.
But they have a wing that is in a category all of its own. I don't know what they call it, but it's like the super duper, tear your tongue out.
You have to sign a waiver to eat it?
I don't know if we did, but we had a wing eating contest and
Yeah.
I won. I devoured all of them, and it was the hottest sauce
Yeah.
I've ever eaten in my life.
I am not interested in eating.
I
that-
love
anything
hot
that's-
sauce.
I like
I'm
spicy,
with
but
you.
I don't like over the top.
So you're like Buffalo guy.
I don't like.
Yeah,
I don't-
fine.
I don't
I like-
like nothing that gets rid of my taste buds for 2 days. I need to taste it.
I can't have
and
over
they
the
ask
top.
you these questions, and then I don't drink milk, so like it spreads. The water spreads the.
Yeah,
the-
I
all
like
in your
buffalo
mouth.
sauce. I like a nice chorizo burrito. That's nice and
God,
spicy.
I love chorizo.
But from Ohio City burrito, I get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
chorizo. It's beautiful.
Could you do it for
Not-
you for a amount of money? I don't know if your face could take it, boy.
Oh, I mean, for $2 million, like we were talking about the other
Yeah.
day, I would do almost anything. for $2
Like
million.
you have to. Well, we gonna
Almost
we gonna
anything
almost
for
anything.
$2 million.
I only got 9,999 for you.
No, I'm not. No.
That's 10 stacks right here.
No, not
10 stacks.
No,
All you got to do is eat the wings.
I wouldn't do it.
McNuggets, 10
Maybe
stacks.
I'd do
Would
it.
you eat it?
10
I think I
stacks.
would do it.
Do
Yeah,
you
all
what?
right, I'm in.
Eat how many?
6.
Oh, I love hot. I would eat, yeah.
Yeah,
10
see, I
for
love
10.
hot
When I was
too.
in high school, have you guys ever heard of Cluck You?
Yes,
Yes.
I have.
So they have the 9-9 or the 911 challenge, and in high school, like every third month when we would get bored, we'd go do it, and we'd hate ourselves afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could do
10
that.
wings for 10,000.
Yeah,
I'm,
easy
I'm
money.
all in.
Easy
I'm
money.
all in.
Like, man, sometimes I watch it on TV, and they have it, and they have people eating them like regular people.
Yeah.
And it's co-ed, and hot peppers are undefeated.
Yeah, they
beat
are
up on
undefeated.
all nationalities, races,
Yeah.
creeds, colors.
We'll see
Hot
you in
peppers will
overtime.
do you in.
Got more questions in OT. See you then.